Yeah. Lakini tunasema asante kwa watu wa pwani sababu wanatusikiza katika frequency yetu ya 90.7. I'll look for the name for the word of frequency in Swahili, and then perhaps tomorrow I'll come back and tell you what it says or what it means. Meanwhile, every single day, if you're tuning for the first time, first of all, karibu tena sana. We usually have this thing where we look at significant days in history and try and see what we can celebrate, or at least what we can learn from them. So today being September the 8th, 2025, there is this thing about Queen Elizabeth II's death in the year 2022. May she rest in peace. And then the crash of NASA's Genesis spacecraft in 2004. The naming of the USS New York in 2002 to honor 9/11 victims, and the crash of US Air Flight 427 in 1994. Yeah, so let's talk about the most recent one, which is the death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022. You know, funny thing is, City, I can remember where I was when Princess Diana lost her life. We had just arrived from Ushago. My Ushago is in Kitui. We had just arrived from Ushago in Kitui. It was on a, when was it? I think she died like on Saturday, but now people got to know the news on Sunday. Oh, I can't remember. But the point is, we got to Ushago. It was on during one of the holidays, and that I can remember that day. Lakini iya Queen Elizabeth, I can't remember, and yet it's just like 3 years ago. I cannot remember where I was, what I was doing when I learned of the passing of the Queen. Can you remember where you are?
No.
Can you remember what you were doing?
No.
Yeah.
I actually, honestly don't know.
Yes.
But what I do know, it was with a heavy heart, really, because that monarch has been part and parcel of our lives, or for a very long time as Kenyans.
Yeah.
Remember, she became queen when she was in Kenya.
Yes, I remember that very well. Yes.
Kuna mali inaitwa tree tops. Not top of the tree. Tree top.
I know tree tops. Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually watched the documentary of how she ascended into the throne. But yes, you were saying something.
And I was saying that her past. When someone has been in a certain position of honor for that long, there's a sense of permanency to it.
Yeah.
So when they pass away, it's like a gap has now been created. Yes. So, but I don't remember the day. Neither do I remember what it was I was doing.
Right.
What I do remember is that I was in Kenya. Yes.
That's all you remember.
That I remember. And I was in Nairobi.
Me too. Yeah, me too. But it's interesting that this is one of the longest serving monarchies. The UK one. They've been in power for over 300 years, right?
Yep.
And they can trace their they can trace their lineage up to that first monarch who did his thing.
They actually can. They actually can. And there are those who argue that particular monarchy is essentially Germanic. Just like they say the English language is Germanic.
Yes.
But that's a story for another
day.
Yes. And one also says that those monarchs in Europe were literally all related, which means in the African sense, you actually don't stop being related. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay.
They understood the wonderful joys of power, but kudos to the citizens of Great Britain. They seem to understand how to work with the idea and the practice of a monarchy. Yes. Call it constitutional monarchy, but this is one of the few monarchs who was actually respected and oversaw what you call a constitutional setup.
Yeah.
We have other monarchs like in the Middle East. Yeah.
Constitution hiyo ni yako.
Constitution.
Have it in your head.
Yes, but not on the same WhatsApp page.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's say it's a work in progress, shall we?
Let's say that. It's interesting to note that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, for instance, they are calling him a progressive leader because he wants to do some changes, allow his citizens to be more liberal on certain issues as they try and integrate themselves into the larger global arena, because they want to open themselves up to other sources of revenue, for instance tourism, because they realize oil might not be there forever, which is actually true. So they want to open up. He has this idea of opening up Saudi Arabia to a different form of they want to become different global citizens, basically.
Let me ask you, now, if we call that man progressive, now the emir of that place, the Emirates, what would you call him? Because that fellow was forward-thinking to death.
Yes. But you know the reason why the Saudi one is very significant, first of all, his father is still the king, huyo hakuna mali anaenda. But even, you know, analysts, political analysts or whatever, analysts of that monarchy are saying that this guy, if he ascends the throne, Saudi Arabia might change significantly once he's in power.
The perspective we're referring to here is a Western perspective on the word progressive, isn't it?
Right.
Yes. So the understanding that if he progresses, or he opens up the country in the manner that our relatives in the West believe progress should be measured, that he's progressive. Is that really the only measure?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But let's just say that ile siku atakuanga mdosi, ile siku atakuwa mfalme, mambo yanaweza badilika.
The thing about monarchs, there's the assumption that there's one person who tells everybody where to jump off.
Yes.
That's not true.
Okay.
No. A monarchy has gatekeepers. Just like a presidency has gatekeepers.
Yes.
And those gatekeepers tend to be fairly powerful. Yes, because in the absence of those gatekeepers, even your rulership may not last long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are depended on. So when one talks about a monarchy, the way the West presents is that there's this individual who just decides every time on any whim, and it rarely happens that way. Rarely. Yeah. Because for that to happen that way, then this monarch needs to be omnipresent, needs to be omniscient. They need to know everything.
Yeah.
No human being can. So if there are people who inform you, at some level you'll depend on them, won't you?
True story.
Those are your gatekeepers.
All right.
Yes.
Uko na medali kabla tujaondokea?
Yes.
Hebu tupe medali.
It isn't sure yesterday a friend of mine called Patrick Omiano. He wrote to me and told me something very interesting. He informed me that yesterday, I didn't know.
Okay.
Was World Happy Husband Day.
World Happy Husband.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yes. Then he sent sayings by interesting world leaders. Some of them I will not dare say on live radio because somebody may hear it. I may have
triggered.
Yes, but there are two that I particularly liked, and one was a gentleman called Brad Pitt.
He's an actor, right?
Yes. I'm not sure. Sometimes I think his name is Pitt, and then his surname is Brad. Then I'm correct and told no. Brad comes first before Pitt.
Yes.
So that one. Okay. He says.
Pitt, yeah.
Marriage is a beautiful forest where brave lions are killed by beautiful deers.
It's a very true story, by the way. Mimi nakubaliana na Brad Pitt kabisa.
Kweli?
Nakubaliana na Brad Pitt kabisa.
All right, then let me mention one more. This one is attributed to Barack Obama.
Twende kazi.
A good wife always forgives her husband when she's wrong.
A good wife
always forgives her husband
when she is wrong.
Yes.
I have, you know, do you know how I have never understood how women do this? Wanakosea, wanafanya makosa. But for some strange reason, you as the husband or boyfriend, you're the one who ends up saying, I'm sorry.
Yes. If you knew she was going to make a mistake, why didn't you stop her? And if you're going to correct her, why didn't you correct her in the way she likes to be corrected?
I'll never understand. And one of these fine days, we shall actually have an expert in this studio. A relationship expert.
Actually, you need to just open your mind.
Yes.
And suspend that auto-thinking like a man for a simple second.
Yeah.
And assume that you are speaking to an AI formation. And then just listen.
Okay.
They're not difficult to understand.
Women.
So long as you think like a man, you'll have difficulties. When I say think like a man, it means where are the facts? Get to the point. That is not how women communicate. You have a wife, ask her. She will tell you.
You go to the salon, she asks you, babe, I'll be here, you come pick me at 3.
Yes.
And at 3 you call her, babe, are you done? She tells you, yes. I'll be done in another 10-15 minutes.
1 hour later.
So wewe unafanya hesabu yako unafika pale hata 3:30.
You're thinking like a man. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Unampigia simu, babe, niko hapa chini teremka. Anakuambia ngoja ndio namaliziwa. kidogo kidogo 4:30 bado hajamalizwa. I'm still downstairs, are you coming or not? She tells you akingoja ndio namalizwa. At 5 is when she shows up, and then when you start complaining, she's like it's not my fault, ilikwanga mtu wa. You end up saying sorry. I don't get it.
Why were you complaining? That is an excuse that somebody who's been married for 2 weeks should have.
Oh,
by the time you've been
she didn't need the length of
yes, by the time you've been married for a month, you should have figured this thing out.
Sawa,
when you're told I will be late, okay? Watch a movie.
Yeah. Wewe jipe shughuli.
Watch a movie, probably a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah. And I move on.
Yes, have a situation where you're told, I've been waiting for you, where are you? That one. All right?
Sawa.
It means whatever she was doing,
Yeah.
she has just finished it.
Right.
Once you inform them you're waiting, just wait.
Nowadays I stopped waiting. I'll wait for you to be done, then I tell you take an Uber. I'll pay.
So you're thinking like a man.
Exactly. All right. Can we get to the top stories of the day?
There's that little detail. You clearly forgot to take the papers.
Yes.
Nonetheless, let's hear the top story, then we'll look at the papers. Won't we?
Yeah, sure.
Right on.
Right, so now you can log on to rgk.co.ke. That's where you'll find all the top stories, the ones that have been making headlines in the last couple of hours. And if you're the kind of people who on Friday you just tune off and then you tune back into the world on Monday morning, well, that website is for you as well. rgk.co.ke. Watu wa pwani tafadhali mwezi kuingia pale ndani after kusonga pamoja. Shukran sana kwa wanahabari wetu ambao wamekuwa wakiandika hizi habari hapa katika website ama website. Kwa nini tangu aje kwa Kiswahili? Wewe ndio ulikuwa ulisema wewe ni mkosti.
When I was teaching Kiswahili, the word website didn't exist.
Oh really?
Sincerely did not.
Katika website
in 1981-82
okay, it
did not exist.
Katika website hapa kuna stories kadhaa, and I'll start with the one that made headlines even last night, the blood moon. Blood moon yesterday, by the way, ilitokezea kama hukuiona, pole sana. Where I started seeing it from around 8:30. Tovuti. Naam. Tovuti yetu ya rgk.co.ke. Asante sana. Nilikuwa nimesahau hiyo kitu. Tovuti. Mimi ushinda nikiwatch Rashid Abdullah na nasahau aje bana.
Tovuti.
Haya, katika tovuti yetu habari ya kwanza inaongelelea blood moon. Blood moon kwa Kiswahili inaitwa aje? Mwezi wa damu.
That is directly translated.
Okay.
And frequency is masafa.
Masafa, eh?
Yes.
Sawa.
Bwana.
So when the moon turned a striking shade of red on Sunday night, many Kenyans gazed skyward in awe. For Muslims in Garissa, the total lunar eclipse, popularly called a blood moon, was more than just a celestial spectacle. It was also a moment of worship. As the moon darkened and glowed crimson between 8:30 p.m. and 9:52 p.m., mosques across the northeastern town filled with worshippers performing Salat al-Kusuf, special eclipse prayers observed during such rare astronomical events. An eclipse is a reminder of God's greatness and power. It is neither a sign of doom nor death, but an opportunity to humble ourselves before the Creator. This is according to Sheikh Abdikani Hussein, an imam in Garissa, told worshippers before leading the prayers. So Siti, I remember I asked you when I walked in and you said you didn't see the blood moon.
Yes, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Is it described by the color, or do you mention the moon and mention the blood alongside it? How would we characterize it?
Well, it actually had a shade of red. Depending on where you watched it, and also the clarity of the skies, it could knock anything from orange to red, like literally red. Hence why it was christened the whatever blood moon. Yeah, and it was a total lunar eclipse.
Complete.
Yeah.
Mwezi mwekundu.
Kabisa, where the earth came between the sun and the moon. And it was
the earth came between the sun and the moon.
Hence why there was an eclipse. So it eclipsed the moon. That's why it's now called a lunar eclipse. And it was an interesting spectacle. I watched it for a couple of minutes. Went out, started seeing the way it was being engulfed by the earth. From around 8:30. Ilianza kumezwa, ikamezwa, and by 9 ilikuwa imemezwa completely. And it was a very interesting sight to see. For those who went out and saw it, I am sure you were like, wow.
This celestial phenomenon, there are those who claim that what actually happens, the Earth's atmosphere scatters blue light. And when this happens, it allows red light to pass through and cast a reddish glow on the moon.
True.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
I will believe them, but this is a subject I know very little about.
Yeah, watu wanafanyanga astronomy. Au ndio wanajua haya mambo.
Yeah, wanaelewa hizi vitu sana
kabisa. Because I'm sure people who are in outer space, at the International Space Station, for example, they didn't necessarily see a blood moon. They didn't see a red moon. They probably saw a different kind of color. I don't know. But I'm sure if you were to ask them, they definitely had a different story.
Yeah, this scattering that we speak of blue light, the phenomenon was actually named after the individual who first noticed it and gave it a name. He's called Rayleigh. Rayleigh.
Okay.
So it's actually called a Rayleigh, not relay, Rayleigh scattering. You know, it is something happens and it's named after the individual.
Yes. And you know me, I'm very interested in such things, celestial events. Sometimes this year kulikuanga pia na the alignment of all the planets in one line.
All the planets?
Oh yes, all the 7 planets.
There are 7 only?
Yeah, they should be 7 or 8. Najua Pluto ilichujwa.
Kwa nini?
Pluto ilichujwa because it's too small to be considered a planet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So
it might just Pluto. It's actually round, but it might as well be a rock. Then they found other planets also of similar sizes orbiting around the same area. So actually several, like 10 other planets were found within that particular area.
There are actually 8 planets.
Yeah, so there are 8, yeah? Pluto was the 9th one, so ilichujwa.
Let me just read them out for you.
Right.
Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mercury, Venus,
yes,
Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Saturn,
yeah. Let's say it like Brits would say it's Saturn.
Yes, Uranus,
yeah,
and Neptune.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
None.
All right.
Otherwise known as 8.
So your anus is number?
The Uranus. You are, if I'm to go by this exactly, Uranus. Uranus.
Hey, thank God, yeah, mepita hivyo. But yeah, and interesting fact as we move away from this story. Interesting facts.
Facts.
Yes, Jupiter is a gas giant.
Gas.
Yes.
Gas.
It's actually made of gas. Yes.
It's
not solid. Yes.
How do they know this?
It's actually not solid.
How do they know this?
Bro, mi nakwambia. We can get into how they know this, but these are interesting facts.
Direct me to where this knowledge is found so that I can read it myself.
We can Google.
Tell me something a little more sophisticated. Google.
Oh,
I can Google. But anyway,
I'm not an astronomer.
You said you like some of these these things of wachana you Google.
Nimeacha ku Google.
I will take your word for it.
Yeah.
So Jupiter is a gas.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
It's a gas giant, yes.
Yes, a gas.
Saturn is also a gas giant.
The gas sphere.
Oh yes.
So there are no hills, mountains.
Yes, actually,
just after orb of gas.
Yes, after Mars, everything else is an inning.
So that's what the equipment we use tells us.
Giant. Sorry.
The equipment we use to determine
the telescopes and whatever.
That's what they've told us.
Also, the fact that none of those countries, none of those planets have got craters like the moon. You know, the moon has craters. Mars has craters. Earth has craters. Mercury, Venus, they all have craters. Jupiter doesn't have a single crater. Yeah, because it's a gas giant. Saturn is a gas giant. Neptune is a gas giant. This other one, Uranus, gas giant. Umesikia? Yeah.
They're called Jovian planets.
Jovian.
Yes, these planets which are essentially gas. Okay.
Yeah, and there's one of them, I'm forgetting which one, which rains diamonds.
Who has been to that planet to tell us that what is raining is actually diamonds?
Again, the equipment we have tells us that.
Which means, let me say, I will suspend my belief.
Yes.
To this extent. There are those who have come up with those notions, and the equipment that we have currently can act as the justification or the justifiers of this particular knowledge.
Yes.
So I will leave it right there until I know better.
Until otherwise. Yeah. Now that I've Googled it, the ice giant planets Neptune and Uranus are believed to have diamond rain, where carbon from methane is compressed into diamond crystals under extreme pressure and temperature, causing them to fall towards the planet's core. Meskayo.
Yeah, so too. And
Aye.
how long have they been doing this?
Since time immemorial.
And they haven't gotten to where they were going in the first place.
No, they've never.
Then they can't possibly be gas. They should have dissipated by now.
Thousands blocked from SHA over ID and SIM card mismatches. And we can see Siti Muga's very good friend, Dr. Oluga, Oma Oluga. You know, he's the principal secretary, State Department for Medical Services at the Ministry of Health. Hapa yeye alikuwa anasema story, nasema hivi. Thousands of Kenyans are being denied access to social health authority services because of mismatches between their national identity cards and mobile phone registrations, a senior health ministry official has revealed. Medical Services Principal Secretary Oma Oluga said the problem is hitting young people and low-income earners hardest, as many of them use SIM cards registered under the names of their parents or relatives, leaving them locked out of SHA systems. So he added that many households remain completely outside the SHA program due to lack of identity cards. So wale wanasema hii sabu haifanyi kazi after you've dialed *147#. Perhaps these are some of the other problems that you're facing. Your ID and your SIM card are mismatching. So when you try and register with your ID tells you apana hii SIM card belongs to your mother or your sister or whoever registered that SIM card for you. So now you need to go and get your details right. Either get a new telephone number or change the details on that phone, which I don't know how that would happen. But yes, some of the problems Kenyans are facing as far as registering for SHA is concerned.
Is it an ID problem or is it a system problem?
You see, when you register for SHA, whether you're registering on your phone or on a laptop,
or on somebody else's phone, at the end of the day, you need to, there are certain details that are sent to your phone, the one-time password, for example, so that you can activate that account of yours. So if it sends that message to that phone and then it realizes this phone, for example, you're registering as Paul Mungala Mbuvi, and then it realizes but this phone is registered to one City Muga, hapo unaona sasa kuna shida, inakwambia kidogo maybe hapo hiyo namba yako, hebu confirm details here too.
Yeah.
So and the accuse of people with such a problem.
Oh yes. I remember when my mother was trying to register for SHA, one of the issues that she was facing is the fact that her telephone number apparently had issues because it was registered to NHIF. And here we thought NHIF was defunct, banned or whatever. So we had to go back to SHA headquarters, formerly NHIF headquarters, for them to delete her number from the NHIF system so that now she's able to register for her for whatever, for now the SHA,
so
whatever.
You they don't move you to the new system.
To be honest, I don't know how.
It's like you have to start all over again.
Kind of.
And if your name is still in the old system, then it runs interference with this registration.
Yes.
Systems problem. That's why I asked.
Right. No, I just pointed out one of the very many issues.
System, Baba.
Sawa City.
Ni system.
Lakini unadhani unaweza register SHA na account ya baba yako kwa mfano? Hawezi. Kwa na simu ya baba yako hawezi.
I don't know.
Exactly, hawezi.
There are many things I don't know. But it points to how a new system always has teething problems. And believe me, it is new. Yes.
Haya. Story nyingine ambayo iko hapa. Police save Pakistani fraud suspect from mob lynching in Nakuru. Tuone wanasema nini hapa hivi. So, police in Nakuru North Sub-County rescued a Pakistani national from a mob on Sunday after he was accused of swindling residents through false pretenses. The DCI in a statement said the suspect, identified as Ahmed Shabir, was surrounded by an angry crowd before law enforcement officers intervened and took him into custody. Two of his alleged accomplices escaped during the incident. Investigations indicate Shabir and his accomplices have been linked to other fraud cases in the region, according to the DCI. Police further established that he was out on bond from Ahero police station, where he had previously been charged with obtaining money by false pretenses. He had been required to report back to the station on August 20th, 2025, but allegedly continued with fraudulent activities instead. Shabir is being processed in custody as detectives pursue his accomplices. Unajua CT, just the other day, and I'm just talking about what are they called? foreigners in this country.
Yes.
There's another foreigner. I can't remember his country of origin, but he was arrested by citizens and slapped properly. I think he was from one of the Asian countries also. He was selling a fake phone.
He was selling
a fake phone. Jamaa alikulwa makofi na wananchi
kwa sababu
he had sold a fake phone for about 20,000 Kenya shillings.
What does a fake phone look like?
So, something that looks like a phone, but it's probably a dummy. So aliuzia mtu dummy phone.
Which means it can't work.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you do, it won't work.
Yes. Now, I had a similar experience recently. I was uko mtaani kwetu. Nimetembea tu. So I had to stop somewhere because I was waiting for someone to reach me.
Yes, so that the two of you could go somewhere.
Exactly.
Yes.
So as I was standing, I saw this person who looks like an Indian. And I'll say looks like an Indian because I really can't remember, and I wasn't necessarily looking for the features.
You're not paying attention.
Yes. So he came up to me and he was like, would you like to purchase this phone? So I looked at it. It was a phone in a case, looked like it was sealed. And he offered me the phone and I told him, no, me, I'm okay. So whether he was selling me a fake phone or a real phone, I don't know.
But where were you? In Kitui?
But no. Sio Kimau. Foreigners are now hawking. And when I say foreigners, I don't mean Burundians because we're used to those ones. I'm not talking about Rwandese, we're used to those ones. I'm not talking about Batoto Bakongo, out Mozoya Pia. When you see someone from a different continent hawking in the streets of Nairobi, that's when you start knowing that things are thick.
They aren't the only ones. There are people who ostensibly claim they even come from Europe.
Yeah.
Who do the same thing. Yes.
Wazungu.
Yes.
Kenya.
When you talk about a country that has a free market economy, it is this one. What you've just given an example of a free market.
Yeah.
You can come to Kenya and sell your fake whatever you want to sell.
Mimi nimezoea kupatana na Waburundi.
And please don't get caught.
Yeah. Nimezoea kupatana na Waburundi.
What do they say?
Ndio vinyozi wetu. Waburundi ndio watu wa smoky huku nje wakiwa na Rwandese. Ndio shoe shiners nowadays. I mean, they're all over. They're doing all this.
What happened to the Kenyans?
They're selling. The Kenyans are still there.
Doing the same thing.
They are just selling alongside them, yes. Ujatembea hapa nje kwa ofisi yetu, clearly.
I've seen many people. How do I know this is a Burundian and this is a Rwandese? By looking at somebody. They all look like Africans.
Yeah. So now, just make a point on these fine days. Go and buy smoky hapa kwa ama mayai pasua. Okay, buy for me smoky.
I'll even buy for you today.
Today.
Yes.
Utendo utapatana na watu wametoka kule Burundi na Rwanda.
How do you know they're not Kenyans trying to put on an accent?
Bra.
Yes, bra. How do you know they're not Kenyans?
Simi ndio nakushow.
Wewe umeniambia but swali
check city simi ndio nakushow.
Uko na Burundomita?
Sio.
Ama Kongomita. So you know this one
city I can't.
Is a Bakongo.
Let's look at the north of Nairobi as the city tries to figure out whether I have a Congometer or a Burundometer or Rwandometer. Lakini Batoto Bakongo kama mko mahali panaitwa Mombasa Road, everything is not looking bad at this particular hour. It's only 6:32 in the AM. Our roads are moving quite well. I'm looking at Ngara area also looking good. No complaints. In terms of road formations hapa naona watu wanasonga vizuri sana. The roads are looking all green. Moving, if I just pinch back and go over to Ngong Road, also no complaints. Southern Bypass, no complaints. Watu ambao wanatoka Lenana wakielekea CBD hamna shida yoyote. But if you see anything on the roads you think I should know about, well, you know where to find me at Radio Gen KE across all socials.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
Yes, we are back. Let's talk about what's happening in the papers. Can I have that business daily, please? And the next one after that one. Yes. Thank you so much, City Muga. So we're looking at we're looking at what is making headlines on your papers this particular morning. Billionaires escalate fight over SportPesa trademark. Hey, this war has been going on for a while, eh? Do you know SportPesa just gave out about 480 something million like a month ago? 480. Siti ukishinda 400 million leo unafanya nini na hiyo pesa?
You'd be amazed. My life.
Cause wewe umezeeka saizi.
That money will be spent even before I receive it.
Yes.
Don't think it will come and find me wondering what to do.
We're talking about close to $500 million.
Even, believe me,
it will be spent even before it reaches you.
yes, there's work waiting for it.
Yeah.
So it's not as though I'll be flabbergasted wondering.
Give me one project you would do with 400 million.
One
Project. Yeah. I know. Not to, of course, spend the whole 400 on that project, but one of the I'm sure you have like a list of projects. Give me one project.
A good portion of it will end up in the money market. A good portion of it will end up in the business that I'm already involved in.
Okay.
Simple as that.
All right. Okay.
Yes. But it will not be spent. No. What I earn is what I will spend.
Now ask me the same question.
Mbuvi, if you were to win 400 million Kenyan shillings, what would you do with the money?
Buda hapo nachukua kitu kama 50 million. Naenda sherehe, nazunguka hii dunia. Naanzia hapa Zanzibar. Next stop
utakwenda Pemba?
Cape Town. Pemba ni kuna waganga. Ndaka tu Zanzibar.
Maybe I'm thinking of somewhere where you be familiar with. Pemba would be good for you, given where you come from.
Why? It's dry.
Ndio wachai wako wengi pale.
Wako wengi. Sitaki kwenda Pemba. Niko na wachai wa kutosha mali nimetoka. Go to Cape Town. Then from Cape Town go all the way to Cairo, Egypt. Look at the what are they called?
Pyramids, bro.
Pyramids.
Yes.
Then from there nitembea huko mali watu wanasemanga sijui watu wa Afrika wafikangi Santorini, niende Miami, kule kwenye beach za Miami, Hawaii, kule nikaogelee. By the time nimalize 50 million nirudi sasa hapa Kenya ndio naweza kufikiria what to do with the remaining 430 million. Now you know. Nipatieni hiyo pesa. So billionaires escalate fight over Sport Pesa trademark. Paul Ndungu wants brand reinstated to Pevans. Registrar's approval to transfer to UK firm questioned. All right, so you can read that. That's the front page of Business Daily. How staff shake-up triggered suspension of Kenya Re CEO. My dad used to work for this company at one point. So our staff redeployed at Kenya Insurance Cooperative has triggered a power struggle and boardroom drama that saw the board summon and suspend the reinsurer CEO within minutes.
Minutes?
Yeah. So insiders told the Business Daily.
Man, that minutes doesn't sound like how you'd sack a CEO.
Sindio? Let me actually shikilia hii karatasi vizuri. Insiders told the Business Daily the tension has been building for months after Managing Director Hilary Washinga initiated a staff review dubbed Skills Fit Process, which triggered reshuffles and the exit of some staff. 6 people familiar with the review reckon the board intervened in the wake of the exits, reinstating some of workers as others got their earlier jobs, and summoning Dr. Washinga and Human Resource Manager Sally Waigomo for a meeting last Tuesday. Now, the brief board meeting saw Dr. Washinga and Ms. Waigumo suspended for 21 days in a decision that appeared to spark confusion at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The NSE made the announcement of the suspension on Friday morning before recalling the notice and sending a revised version of the closure of the market at 3 p.m. The two were summoned on Tuesday last week, but were not allowed into the boardroom. After a short board meeting, they were suspended. There was no explanation of what exactly they had done wrong, said an executive at the firm who asked not to be identified.
Okay.
Naingia hivi kao na mtu anaingia hivi, wengine wanatolewa. An employee whose ordinary course of employment does not specifically require creation of technological solutions can be recognized as a technovator. You can read that story by Carol Musyoka on page 9. Australia races ahead of Saudi, Germany in job offers for Kenyans. Mesikia? Australia races ahead of Saudi and Germany in job offers for Kenyans. Kenyans' diaspora remittances from Australia jumped by nearly half in the first 6 months of 2025, cementing the Oceania country's position as the fastest rising source of the flows into Nairobi. Meanwhile, key traditional high-growth corridors such as Saudi Arabia and Germany recorded declines. Cash-thirsty Kenyans take 5.5 million loans from digital lenders. Hii pesa kidogo. Digital lenders are licensed by the Central Bank of Kenya granted accumulative 5.5 million loans valued at 76.8 billion as at the end of June this year. Wait, what? Oh, 5.5 million loans, not loans of 5.5 million Kenya shillings.
No, the number of loans were 5.5 million.
So they have a value of 76.8 billion. Wakenya mko na pesa. Offshore investors sell 1 billion NC stocks on non-profit taking, on profit taking. That is, offshore investors sell 1 billion NC stocks. You can read that story on page 14. Haraka haraka hapa tukiangalia Standard wanasema ya kwamba Standard wanasema hivi katika front page, kurasa wa mbele, debt horror. Since President William Ruto took over, the country has been borrowing a troubling 2.29 million per minute. That is 137.5 million per hour and 3.3 billion per day. As he marks 3 years in office this week, Ruto has so far borrowed 3.5 trillion. Horrified economists now warn the rising debt lacks practical value for the country. Besides, a look into the president's promises reveals chivalrous absurdity, from planting 15 billion trees to building stadia that can host EPL.
Wait a moment. The 15 billion trees have been planted?
Yes.
Where?
Let me just read that sentence again. Besides, a look into the president's promises reveals chivalrous absurdity, from planting 15 billion trees
all right,
to building stadia that can host EPL. That's the English Premier League, with the debt curbing promise falling flat 3 years down the line.
Right.
So apparently, the government has planted 50 billion trees.
No, it's being referred to as an absurdity.
Okay.
Because if you do the maths, 15 billion trees, if you were to plant them, we have 50 million of us.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
How many trees would each of us need to plant in order to plant 15 billion trees?
Yeah, about 3,000? 300 maybe?
And when you say 50 million, it includes children. And so, on average...
So each one of us would have to plant 300 trees for us to plant 15 billion in 3 years.
Yes. And we're saying this has happened.
Yes, according to...
If you have 3 children, let's say on average each family in this country has 3 children, then you have to plant on behalf of your children. So that's 900 trees plus your 3, plus that of your wife, that's 1,500 trees. So we're saying that for 1,500 trees have been planted.
By a family, yeah.
It is ambitious, it is good, but again, it lacked a structure and a plan beyond the statements as to how it can be done. Wouldn't have been a wonderful thing for that to actually happen?
It would be wonderful. It would be wonderful. But also, I might not be good in understanding acreage, but do we even have space to plant 15 billion trees?
We do.
We do.
We do. 15
billion trees.
We do. We have lots of land. Plenty. We have plenty of land that isn't even utilized.
Yeah.
So, land we have. Let's look at the star.
Please.
All right.
Let's.
How Jomvu...
umeguza microphone yako pakazimika mahali.
Okay.
Iko sawa sasa.
Sawa. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Right. Kwa Jomvu MP spends night with the locals at Mikindani slums. Jomvu MP Badi Twalib at Bangladeshi slums in Jomvu on Saturday. All right. This was greet meet residents that this gentleman was doing, so he wanted to go hang out with them. Essentially hang out, be there overnight, talk to people, see how they live.
Yeah.
It's a good campaign tool though.
Yeah.
If I may say so myself. Yes. This was his way of showing love and thanking the residents for having voted him in. Okay, thank you, Badi Twalib. Watchdog now raises alarm over declining police welfare. Police face increasing public hostility from recent protests, but a new IPOA report shows that they have failed by their own leadership as their welfare and protest safety deteriorates. The agency has raised the alarm over the welfare of officers deployed to manage protests, saying they are being left to fend for themselves without basic support such as food, water and allowances.
Yeah.
The report paints a grim picture of the working conditions officers endure during the Gen Z-led demonstrations. Okay?
Yeah, something that actually was pointed out by some guests who came here during that conversation around Maandamano.
They pointed it out.
Yeah, they said, these cops by this, tusiwane hivyo mtu anaweza kuwa alireleasiwa 4 a.m. and he's battling youths at 2 p.m.
Energy levels
and hasn't eaten.
Low.
They haven't had water to drink. They probably haven't had breakfast. They haven't had lunch for a fact. And they're probably, they're expected to run around, and I mean, bwana utachoka.
Yeah, you will get tired. In fact, long before 2 o'clock, you'll have been tired.
Kama mimi kuketi tu hapa kuongea masaa 4, by the time we are done, I'm like, 4 hours, eh? You can imagine someone who's standing at a particular station. Ameambiwa nyinyi kazi yenu ni hapa Moi Avenue, msisonge.
Right.
Yeah.
Over 66,000 Kenyans will be affected amid U.S. freeze. Now, what am I talking about? This is bang in the middle of the paper, the Star. Kenya stares at mass job losses as AGOA expires. This is on page 425. Right. AGOA has been our competitive edge. Without it, we risk losing a critical driver of growth as Kenyans sit at the global manufacturing table. Now, surely, if we've been at this thing now for God knows how many years, is it not possible that we were able to actually learn something, that we have trained people who can actually carry on doing this work?
Yeah. In case you're listening to AGOA and you've forgotten your GHC, this is what AGOA stands for. It's the African Growth and Opportunity Act, a landmark U.S. legislative initiative enacted in 2000 to promote economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa by providing eligible countries with duty-free access to the American market for a wide range of products, including textiles. The program has been a cornerstone of U.S. economic engagement with the continent.
It was enacted in the year 2000.
Yeah.
All right. There is a mismatch of figures here. The headline says 66,000 Kenyans stand to lose their jobs, but when you look at the paper, they are saying that 660 Kenyans rely on apparel exports to the U.S. and AGOA for their livelihoods. So maybe it's 66, but then if you look at the family units to the people who work, you multiply that by a factor of 10, and you have 660,000. Okay. Now that is the paper as we know it, called The Star.
Yes.
The Daily Nation.
Daily Nation.
Yes, 86% of schools submit data in effort to curb capitation fund. It's a story on page 6. I do not understand fully what it is they are talking about, but that's what they're saying. Now, somebody of great importance passed away on the weekend. The gentleman is named Dalmas Otieno.
Yes, former minister.
Former MP. Angwe. A figure, but the thing that made Dalmas known was not he was known politically. He started something called Thabiti Finance.
Thabiti.
Oh,
Thabiti.
Thabiti.
Any Thabiti.
Ile Thabiti ile.
Sasa hapo hivyo.
Yes, ile insurance pia alikuwa nayo inaitwa Thabiti Insurance.
He actually owned this company.
He did.
Okay.
He was probably the first Kenyan African to own a bank. Yes. Thabiti was ahead of the curve. It was ahead of very many other banks, but most people don't know this. It encountered some headwinds at some point, and it went under. But it was remarkable that such a thing did exist, and there's tales around why it didn't flourish and why it floundered. But that's a story for another day. Now he has bowed out. He has said his last hurrah, and he has passed away. A remarkable man, die-hard KANU stalwart. So when the winds of change came into his neck of the woods, South Nyanza, and ODM gained a foothold, he was still well known, but the power and strength that he had when he was a KANU stalwart waxed and waned over time.
Yes.
Back in the middle of this paper, inside State House police hiring drama, apparently we should anticipate the hiring of 10,000 police officers.
All right.
4,000 of these positions have been earmarked for people who are in the National Youth Service. All right?
Which is a good thing, actually.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. But for some reason, this hasn't taken place, and it required the intervention of the president to hold a meeting with police bosses in Mombasa to discuss this. I have to wonder aloud.
Yeah.
What on earth is happening?
Care to explain?
No. Because I don't understand it.
Why do you have this question? Yeah.
I will read.
Okay.
President Ruto, in a marathon meeting with police bosses that ran past midnight on Friday, demanded to end an end to turf wars that have stalled the recruitment of 10,000 police officers. The National Police Service Commission now faces a defining week in the high-stakes handoff. The real story is on page 5, okay? The NPSC Commissioner. We have just seen communication on issues that, as a commission, we have never sat and agreed on. There are no minutes to show who attended the meeting that ratified these new recruitment guidelines. Okay? The meeting called to resolve the impasse on the planned recruitment of 10,000 police officers have failed to bear fruit, even as President William Ruto directed speedy resolution to the dispute. The first meeting with the president was held at State House, Mombasa on Friday and was attended by Police IG Douglas Kanja and one of his deputies, Eliud Lagat. A full meeting of the National Police Service Commission that followed the State House talks crisis talks at the Kenya School of Government in Mombasa. A technical committee comprising of police bosses and officials from the NPSC have been constituted to look into the technical issues that have derailed the rollout of police recruitment. Initially, the government had planned to recruit the new police officers by the first week of this month and admit the successful candidates to police college training by December. All right? The reason why any problem of this nature arises, the first, we've heard rumors, but delaying of recruitment, we've had hiccups here and there. 10,000. That's why my question arises. Why is this one raising a problem?
Okay.
Is it today or this week the president marks 3 years having been the president?
Yes.
2 more years. 2 more years
to go
before we have an election. There are those who argue we should have an election next year. So why is it that the recruitment of police, why is it having such a big ruckus? We will look into the story as the week moves on, because more will be revealed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mengi yatajulikana baadaye.
Mengi yatajulikana bwana.
Yeah.
Yep.
I personally am not giving it too much thought.
Why?
But we know that we've seen problems between the police service and the National Police Commission. Stories we've read here, I think, the last couple of weeks.
Who controls the money? When you have a commission, the money that runs the police service is managed by the commission.
Okay.
Like the Teachers Service Commission, Parliamentary Service Commission,
all right,
Judicial Service.
So, like, for example, for the Parliament Service Commission, they're the ones who pay salaries to the MPs.
Yes, they do. They're the ones.
Teacher Service Commission, obviously, the ones that pay teachers.
Yes, same thing.
So we are saying that the National Police Service Commission is the one that decides Constable CT atapata ngapi.
Should.
Yes.
It means then that the IG, who prior to this is the one who had the power, would then lose the power that he had. And if he loses the power, those who work with him would also lose the power they had to the commission.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now I get where the questions are coming.
Yes, and when you talk about recruitment, we know the fight about recruitment.
Yes.
We hear stories of monies people paid so that people can be recruited, etc., etc. So,
okay.
Hence the questions.
All right. Nakupata CT. Ndio maana unajua kuwa na nywele ya white inasaidianga sana. Yeah, mimi yangu ya black singefikiria kama wewe. But it brings up, those questions are very critical, and perhaps they will help us understand why there's this fight. And I wish you could get someone from the National Police Service Commission.
We will look for them. We'll look for even someone from IPOA, more specifically.
Yes.
The chairman. Perhaps he could be able to shed light on this matter. So we'll look for him. Yes.
Yeah. I know our producer Edna perhaps has a telephone number or two that she can make to ensure that these individuals actually do tell us. Also on the Standard, we've seen that story of defiant Moi era minister who died, Mheshimiwa Dalmas Pale. They're saying this: leaders have shared condolence messages describing former Rongo MP Dalmas Otieno as a visionary leader and astute businessman who served his country with unrivaled commitment. Otieno belonged among few politicians from the Luo Nyanza region who defied the region's political godfather, that is Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, in the late 80s and remained relevant. Tell me about this. His defiance.
They claim he remained in Kanu. That's really what it is they're saying. He never moved away from Kanu.
Right.
Never even attempted to move away from Kanu. He stayed in Kanu.
That was when regional politics the backbone, no, not the backbone, but the base you've been talking about. Ulikuwa naita nini? Support base. For him, the Luo at that particular time were in which political party?
There were many Luos. Remember, if you're talking about the era, the Moi era, before ODM became as strong as it is, it was LDP, NDP, all those parties in between.
So there wasn't one dominant one?
Not really. Not really. KANU was dominant because we're a single party state. So KANU was dominant. So other parties that would then come in were taking the space that had been occupied by KANU. Okay. Now, when ODM, it started with Ford. Ford had many followers. Ford had followers in central Kenya, western Kenya, Luo Nyanza, and other places.
Yeah.
Then Ford split.
Yes.
Ford Asili, Ford Wekelea,
Ford Kenya,
Ford Twendembele. So
at the Ford Twendembele.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are many parties. Like if you have a party like Sisi kwa Sisi, ama sio Sisi kwa Sisi na tusisonge mbele.
Yeah.
I mean, the parties that we have in this country are very many.
Yes.
So these parties that are coming in, but they are not strong yet. Now people moved towards Ford with Jaramogi. The breakaway party from Ford was NDP before it became. Then there was LDP.
Yeah.
Then Raila then formed ODM.
Raila was in LDP. All right.
These parties had people who owned them, people who started them. Okay.
Yeah.
But Raila joined these parties.
Yeah.
Then later he formed ODM. Okay.
And ODM was formed just juicy by the.
Yeah, ODM was formed juicy too.
Yeah.
That is
wakati wa referendum.
After Raila left KANU. That's when ODM was formed.
Okay.
So Dalma still remained in KANU. He never left KANU. That's why it's being called defiant. Because many people left the party they were in, even when they are life members, which gives you an understanding that people, the word life member, or the term, it has nothing to do with permanency. It has to do with a suggestion.
Okay.
That when you pay whatever it was you pay to be a life member, the suggestion that you're a life member, but you weren't really a life member.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
life membership doesn't really expire, does it?
No, it doesn't.
You expire with it. As long as you're alive, it's alive.
So even if you move parties, you're still are a member of the original one. What are you trying to say?
That is, I'm not trying. I am not trying.
So if today I became a member of Wiper Party, then I decide to go to Tip Tip.
No, if you're a life member of Wiper Party, it means you are a member until the day you die. Unless you tell us something in the clause or in the memorandum or in the understanding of that particular party, where life membership expires after 5 years or 10 years or something, then we know after 10 years you will cease to be a life member, which again is a contradiction. Then how is it a life member?
Delete life.
Yeah. Just say you're a 5-year term member.
Renewable every 5 years.
Yes, exactly. Just say that. But you say life,
it's
the length of your natural life. Yes.
All right. I'd like to see a Kenya whereby perhaps one day we shall dissolve all these parties.
We won't. They'll keep increasing. Democracy demands that, my friend. The democracy that we speak of demands. So even as we near the election, believe me, more parties will keep being registered.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I remember, what's his name? Elon Musk, richest man on earth, was actually saying that he might end up forming his own party so that he can give the Republicans and Democrats a run for their money come.
It's been tried before.
The next elections.
It's been tried before. Let's see how this one works.
Yeah. But I don't think he will.
As I said, it's been tried before.
He's a businessman. And you saw what happened to his net worth and his stocks that Tesla and SpaceX after the fight he had with Trump a couple of months ago.
No,
it took a proper hit. Yeah, so venye walikosana na Trump and then akaanza kuongea mbaya, kuna watu walianza kumwingilia na stocks zake zikaanza kwenda chini. Actually, even before he fell out with Trump, his vehicles, his brand of vehicles, that is the Teslas and the Cybertruck, yes, were being attacked in the streets. So your city umenunua Cybertruck yako, you actually just bought the car because you love the car. You have nothing to do with Elon Musk. You just bought a car because you like it. Unaenda unaipark supermarket, unaingia ndani, kutoka unapata watu wamegonga na mawe na wamefanya graffiti.
Ask the question. The people who walikuwa ni Wakenya wanagonga hizo gari?
No, that is now in the US.
I'm just asking. They are Kenyans in the US.
Okay.
Those are our habits.
Sijui kama ni Wakenya.
Those are our habits.
Sijui kama kulikuwa na Wakenya lichapa. Maybe there was.
Did they burn a few cars as well?
I can't remember seeing burnt vehicles, but
those are our habits as well.
Yeah, but I remember seeing vehicles being attacked even in the streets. Unatembea hivi unatupua mayai kwa kioo ya gari yako.
That one is alright. Yes, I thought they were doing real damage. Like, no. But
they were making a statement, and they're actually trying to encourage people from purchasing.
Discourage people from buying
Elon Musk brands from his vehicles, because he has a lot of things he does. Kuna magari, anauza solar, vitu zingine nimesahau pia anafanyanga.
Anauza juice, maji.
Perhaps I don't know.
The point is, it is argued that the Chinese make better electrical vehicles. Argued. But welcome to the world of international economics.
Yeah.
Right. He got into politics. Right. Usually, that marks the beginning of the end. But let's see how it goes, shall we?
A big shout out to Ngumbo Njoroge of Public Service Superannuation Scheme. Shout out to you, Ngumbo Njoroge, for tuning in. Thank you so much for being a fan. Also, salamu zimfikia Michael Olande, amesema jambo. Redefender, amesema tu CT. Akanikumbusha website ni tovuti. Asante sana Redefender. Wafula team amesema good morning guys. Who are the guests today? Please invite Professor Manyora again for hard politics. Wafula, trust me, Professor Manyora will be back. The Richards amesema, from where do you see the red moon when the object, which is Earth, you are standing on, or rather standing from, is the blocking factor? Do you mean the Earth is transparent or translucent for you to see through? Akasema think.
No, not necessarily.
I'm assuming Richard is probably a flat earther.
There's something called reflection.
Or perhaps he's trying to pass a message here that we do not know.
No, but it's a good point he has made. Something that will raise a discussion. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's who else? There's Sonnet. Hello, RG team. Looking forward to a great week for sure. Obonyo Wilson, Kisumu tuning in. Thank you, Sana Obonyo. Simon Mwihu. Good morning, team RG. And then there's Engineer Fighter Karaoke. Salamu nyingi nimepata Sigalame. That is CT Muga. And Obonyo Wilson, morning. This is Obonyo locked in from Kisumu. Thank you so much, Obonyo. We're getting into the news right now with Winnie Maganga, and then when we return, we shall let you know our guests and perhaps the conversations that they're going to be helping us drive.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Police are investigating an incident where a police officer shot and killed two boda riders near Makongeni police station in Thika town. The drama unfolded Sunday morning after a road accident involving the officer and a rider with his passenger. Witnesses say the officer attached to the station had knocked them down in what police described as a non-injury accident before the confrontation turned fatal. The officer's vehicle was set ablaze during the incident. He is currently in custody.
Ile tu accident ya kawaida ilipatana na mtu wangu akiwa amebeba customer wake, akaguzwa nyuma na gari. Hapo ndipo wale walikuwa nyuma walikuja kusaidia, kuuliza huyu mwenye amewaguza, bona unaenda na umewaruza watu pale nyuma. Kupelekwa hapa station, ndio jamaa alikuwa na funjo, alikuwa mrevi sana, na hapo ndio tulinotice ako na buduki. Jamaa alitoa buduki akashoot hawa majamaa wawili wenye sio wenye walikuwa kwa accident, wenye walikuwa anakuja kusaidia.
Police in Nakuru North Sub-County rescued a Pakistani national from a mob on Sunday after he was accused of swindling residents through false pretense. The DCI in a statement said the suspect, identified as Hamed Shabir, was surrounded by an angry crowd before law enforcement officers intervened and took him into custody. 2 of his alleged accomplices escaped during the incident. Police further established that he was out on bond from Ahero police station, where he had previously been charged with obtaining money by false pretenses. Isiolo Governor Abdi Guyo has claimed that his political foes are behind efforts to force him out of leadership. The governor, who spoke in Nairobi on Sunday during a fundraising function at PCA Shalom Church, said his remarks came in wake of arrest orders issued by Director of Public Prosecutions, who on Friday instructed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to arrest the governor together with 7 other individuals.
Hiyo charges ni charges za kisiasa. We will fight it. Na tunajua with time it will be vindicated. The conservative order was very clear. Until the case is heard and determined, you should not be arrested, harassed by anyone. On 23rd September. Nataka kuambia wale wanasiasa ambao wako nyuma ya hiyo vitu, ukitaka kuwa gavana, hakuna njia ya mkato ya kuwa nini gavana. The only way for you to be a governor is through the people. They should go and talk to Isiolo people so that they can be elected either as a governor or whatever thing they want to be to become.
President William Ruto has called on Africa and the Caribbean community to step up the push for reparatory justice for historical injustices. The president said the Africa CARICOM reparations working group should be given more support and resources so that it can drive the agenda more effectively. He also advocated joint action at the United Nations to secure a resolution that puts reparatory justice firmly on global agenda. The president was speaking at the second Africa CARICOM summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Sunday.
Africa and Caribbean can ensure that reparations speak not only to the injustices of the past, but also to the inequalities of the present and the promise of the future. Let us seize this moment to build a partnership that delivers lasting and meaningful impact for our peoples today and for generations yet to come.
The World Health Organization has sent 12 tons of emergency medical supplies to the Democratic Republic of Congo to support response to the Ebola outbreak. WHO says the consignment includes protective gear for 120 frontline workers, patient isolation kits, and water and sanitation supplies. These measures follow the declaration of an Ebola virus disease outbreak in Kasai province, where 28 suspected cases and 16 deaths, including 4 health workers, had been reported as of September 5th. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome back. This is Radio Generation on 88.8 in Nairobi. Mombasa, it's 90.7. You can also find us online, rgk.co.ke. On YouTube, it's Radio Generation Kenya. We are also live, by the way, on our X account. That is at Radio Gen KE. So you can watch us anywhere you feel comfortable. We're also live, by the way, on Facebook. We are also live on, I think those are the ones that are of importance. X, Facebook, you can get us on YouTube as well, and you can also get us on our website rgk.co.ke. Lakini kama unataka kwenda kwa gari, unataka kuendesha, unauliza nitawapata kwa frequency gani, it's 88 in Nairobi, 88.8 FM rather, and 90.7 in Mombasa. It is the People's Breakfast, and this morning we want to talk about compensation of victims of protests. There's a debate obviously, and everyone is asking, is it really necessary? Does it serve justice? Others are also castigating LSK President Faith Odhiambo for actually being part of the team that is in charge of compensating victims. Wanasema amesaliti, lakini kwa kweli swali ni amesaliti nani na amesaliti aje? City Muga is in studio with me to help me have this conversation with Frederick Okango, Public Communications Lead. Frederick, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you very much. And I think it's my first time here.
It is your first time here. How are you finding the studio, by the way?
I love it.
Is it cozy?
Well, it is okay.
Naona umepatiwa chai ama sijui ni kahawa ama ni kitu kingine. Unajua kuna watu wengine Monday asubuhi they usually want a boost of energy.
On a Monday morning coffee we do.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome to Radio Generation.
I appreciate
it. And we are glad that you're here, and it's an honor as well.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this whole issue of compensation. Everyone is asking, or rather everyone has got different views. Majority of those views, some of them are negative from what I have seen. And I feel like people come from a point of, Kenya right now is very angry. And they're angry at a lot of things. And they're throwing that anger towards sometimes even places where they're not supposed to be throwing it. And I'm of the opinion that people should be compensated, especially those who were hurt during protests in Nairobi. Yeah, so maybe let's start from there. Why are Kenyans unhappy with some of these things that we're seeing?
Thank you. It is true. It is true that Kenyans, some of them are unhappy. It is true that some of them are happy. And let me tell you, for a government to acknowledge wrongs done and go to the extent of committing to compensate the victims, it does not matter who inflicted the pain, but it matters that those who are undergoing pain today, those who are hurt, basically the victims of protests and riots, are compensated. That one matters a lot. And therefore, that is an acknowledgement from the government. And it is not only an acknowledgement, it is a constitutional duty by the state to ensure that such victims are provided for and are protected as per provision of Article 21. Number two, it is also important to note that we are a democratic state. We have different views, we have different opinions. But what is important is, whatever we are doing, is it within the law? I submit that the acknowledgement by the president through the proclamation to form a panel of experts on victim compensation is historic in itself. And therefore, the message we put out there as a panel is that we encourage Kenyans to support this initiative, because his initiative is going to be a healing initiative. It is an initiative that will ensure that the victims not only get compensated but also get justice. If you look at the TURs of the panel, the TURs, one of them being design a framework that will ensure transparent reparation and even compensation. Number two is to engage all the stakeholders, including the families of the victims, in doing this process. And also, where evidence allows, recommend prosecutorial actions to those found culpable.
Really?
Yes, that is part of the TR.
I actually
and
didn't know that.
Number three, provide reports, periodic reports to the president on the process of this, or on the updates of this process. So I am confident enough that with this initiative taking place, led by Professor Makao Mutua and deputized by Faith Odhiambo, those are people that as a panel we believe in, and even the public believe in them. We encourage the public to support this initiative because it is a healing process. Kenyans are hungry. Those who, for one or two reasons, feel that this is not a good process, we encourage them to try and understand and listen to the victims. On Thursday, after the panel and the technical teams were sworn in by the judiciary, the family, 7 representatives of the family, stormed into the meeting. They came in and they said that they have a lot of faith in this panel because they have suffered. They gave their personal stories of the protest, what happened to them. There are 3 women who came there and they all lost their husbands, who are their breadwinners. Today they are just doing manual jobs. They don't know what will happen the next. They have children in school. They don't have a job themselves. It's important that we understand where this is coming from. And therefore I submit that the panel, supported by the public and the government of the day, will deliver not only compensation but also justice to the victims.
And that is where I wanted to go back to, because you said that the panel will do what? When you said, will they investigate or look at, like, what will they do?
They will not investigate.
Okay.
But where evidence permits, after going through their work, they can recommend to the institutions, the constitutional institutions like IPOA, ODPP, DCI, prosecution of those who have been found to have committed some of these atrocities. Number 2, they are also able to recommend legislative and policy measures and even institutional reforms on issues that can stop some of these violence in future. Yes.
Wow. I actually didn't know that, because a lot of people have been saying, there cannot be justice, even if, compensation is done, kama mtu alishutiwa akakufa, hajakuwa compensated, then how do we move forward from that? So you give me X amount of money and yet I have a broken leg, or I have a missing finger, or I have a missing limb, or whatever. So here again, just to reiterate on that particular point, are we saying that they shall have the opportunity to look at evidence, or when in their process of just trying to see who to compensate at what point, in case that evidence finds them, they're not going to go necessarily looking for it, but if it finds them, then they will take action on that evidence?
What happens, going straight into this job, the panel will visit all the hotspots in all the counties of Kenya, the 47 of them, to engage with the victims and to listen to them and to understand their needs and their concerns as far as the protests were concerned.
All right.
Number 2, the victims will be presenting to them data on who they are, where they were shot, if there are people who are maimed, for example, where their family members were shot, were killed, and that data will be verified. That is in the TR of the panel. Upon verification, of course there are instruments of verification. Upon verification, the panel will consider the sources of those conflicts and will recommend to the relevant institutions on what measures to take to stop that in future. Now, the issue of compensation, we understand and we know and we concede it's not enough. It's not enough because if somebody is dead, he's dead. If somebody is dead, he's dead. You cannot bring back life. But let me tell you, the start of finding justice is compensation. That is an acknowledgement. It's an element of justice. It's an acknowledgement that there are people who did something wrong. And in doing so, it is only fair that the state, in the constitutional provision, allow those victims to live a normal life again through compensation. But as they do that, the justice, the long-lasting justice of those who did this to them, must also be undertaken through relevant institutions, IPOA, the police,
ODPP.
the DCI, ODPP. And that's why if you look at the technical committee where I sit, the technical committee consists of various organs and stakeholders. National Police Service is there, IPOA is there, Kenya National Human Rights Commission is there, civil societies are there, the young people are there. It's a mix of different stakeholders, and we are confident enough that some of these solutions will find their way from this team of experts and the panel of experts.
How then will you identify Paul Mongala Mbuvi was actually hurt during a peaceful protest from Paul Mongala Mbuvi was just beaten by some guys in Kawangware mob justice juu alikuwa naiba kuku?
That's why we are saying in the identification of victims, there'll be verification of data.
Okay.
And remember, some of these people presented themselves to the hospitals for treatment. There are those records.
Yeah.
IPOA has records. These are government independent institutions that you cannot question. They do their work independently. They have got the data. Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, they have got the data. Even the media have got the data. So these are all stakeholders that we are going to engage. And we will verify that Paul Mongala Mbuvi was a part of the victims in the protest, particularly from 2017 to 2025.
Okay.
Yes.
Because someone might have been a victim of protests but never went to hospital because...
That's a possibility.
Yeah, because... or I didn't report this issue to any police station because...
possibility.
I'm afraid. And then now naona watu wanakuwa compensated, then now I present myself.
And also somebody might be a victim who was never a victim. It's a possibility.
Yes.
So, in all this process, the most important thing as per the TORs of the panel is verification of the data presented therein. That data, we must have, and we do have, a team, professionals that will verify that data.
Yeah.
And we are going to also engage different government stakeholders agencies to ensure that
you have legit individuals.
And we also don't leave out legit cases where possible. You know, it's a process that requires the engagement of all citizens. This is a national concern. It's a national duty. If you know anyone that you know was a victim and for whatever reasons did not present himself or herself to the hospital or record a police OB, and they are genuine and there are documentation to that effect, those are people that should come out. We encourage them to come out, and so that they can get justice.
Does this include victims or individuals that were disappeared and then reappeared, or they are not part of this compensation package?
Victims.
Yeah.
Any victim
yes.
of protests, riots, those are victims that the Gazette notice covers.
Okay.
And therefore they will be looked at in totality.
So abductees will be?
They are victims.
Okay.
Yeah, they are victims.
All right.
And you see, you know, we're not talking about self-abductions. We're talking about
of course
people that believe, you know, they underwent this process, and are the genuine cases. And I can tell you, there are methods and processes of verifying and ascertaining these cases one by one, and that process has been done before in other countries. You saw in South Africa, it has been done in Nigeria, Lagos. All these things we have seen them. But let me tell you something that I also want to say. The victims are not only the civilians. Our National Police Service are also victims. We saw police officers. Some of them died in the process. Some of them were injured. Some of them lost their limbs and hands. These are Kenyans. They are brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. They are part of this process. We also encourage, and this for the first time, we are seeing a process where even officers are compensated because they are also part of the process, and they were contributing one way or another to quell this violence. And for those who shall be found to have committed crimes, to have perpetrated some of this violence, there will be institutions that will take action against them. We are happy today. Already there are some inquests going on. There are cases in court. But for us as a panel, we are an advisory committee. We are a facilitative committee. We are not usurping the role of any independent commission, independent institution, independent office. No. Our job, as per the Gazette notice, is to facilitate and offer advisory services to the executive on the basis of compensation of victims of protest and riot.
All right. So at no one point will you say, for example, again, Mongala Mbuvi deserves 500,000 for the injuries that in terms of damages that he alipatikana nazo wakati wa maandamano. Yours is just to say Mbuvi is a legit case, he deserves it, his case is loss of limb, for example.
Well, the panel of experts is mandated to design a framework. within that framework, it will also indicate how best can we compensate Mbuvi.
Yeah.
How best can we compensate Mbuvi? And that framework includes even, how much should he be paid if he's supposed to get money? Should he go psychological, care? Should he be given some form of counseling and so on and so forth? That is part of the framework that the team is going to design.
Okay.
So it's not only about money.
Yeah.
It's about so many things. And also, if Mbuvi, for example, was shot, and there are police records showing that he was shot, and there are culprits that have been apprehended, then prosecutorial recommendations will be put across to the relevant authority so that Mbuvi can find justice.
Now, there's this issue and situation whereby a lot of victims, some of them even the ones that were at KNH, we saw them saying the bullets were recovered or were extracted from their bodies, but there is no evidence of. So because the bullets have been taken away, that means there is no evidence that this person was shot, and even the police, they distance themselves from that particular situation. So how do we deal with that person? Because again, we are trying to follow evidence. Say Mbuvi was shot, here's the bullet that shot him. Even the doctor's report says this is the bullet that we extracted from him, and this is the exhibit. You exhibit Aiko. Now what do we do?
You see, the panel of experts is not an investigative body. They are investigative bodies. The police are there, IPOA are there, and even Kenya Human Rights Commission, they are there. Yeah. That is their job. For the panel of experts, their role is to ensure that they develop this framework, that those who shall have been found to be the victims through verification of the data therein shall be compensated. So with that, we leave it to the police, we leave it to the IPOA, we leave it to the other DCI agencies to ensure that they go to the bottom of it and identify those victims as the true victims and bring them forth for compensation.
Yeah.
This is forming a structure within which you can look at all and every cases that relate to these matters under discussion, and you will know this is what you do when these things happen. Remember, we have had issues of this nature from the time before independence. Okay? When people are talking about the second liberation, there were issues that arose with the disappearances.
Yes.
Cases were taken to court. There are instances where people were actually compensated, like those who were detained in the Nyayo House dungeons and so forth. But there did not exist a structure that could be looked at as a reference point whenever this thing comes about. We do have a Commission of Inquiry Act,
Yes.
CAP 102 rather, which enables you to, it gives you footprints that you can follow if you want to go about this business. Now, a panel of experts now takes it a step further. It ensures that they now exists, meaning every time an issue of this nature arises. For instance, when you talk of insurance, do you know how insurance works?
Yes.
They take the time to go into the details of whatever it is that they want to insure, and they tell you what they will insure, how they will insure it, when they will insure it, and if there's need for compensation, how that also comes about. This is the insurance. We haven't had it.
Yes.
It has not existed. Yes. All we know is that people take cases to court. And then there's the argument of, do we really know of all the people who were harmed? Recently, we had also a panel of experts that was set up by the Ministry of Health looking into the issue of kidney transplant. They were given a time frame and said, look, I want you to look into this thoroughly and come up with the findings and tell us this is what we have found and make suggestions as what we should do next. Whenever these things happen, there's a gap.
Yep.
You may talk about it, but the reference point that has a legal background doesn't exist. Now, having said that, let me ask the question. What is the historical context that this panel of experts are going to be looking at?
Well, I think it is important to note that as a country, we have witnessed, we have read, we have seen so many instances where the public, members of the public, have been injured through demonstrations or public riots, if you like, and they have never been compensated. But having said that, the Gazette notice gives the frame, the outlines from 2017 to 2025. Now, the historical context is that instances, not only in this country, instances where state has acknowledged wrongs done and has gone to the constitution or the supreme law of the land and looked at the provisions of that law that allow the state as having obligations to compensate such people have been there. I gave an example of South Africa that was led by Desmond Tutu. I gave an example of Lagos, Nigeria. I gave an example of Sierra Leone. All these things have been done before. However, in our country, we know for sure that there are victims that are still existing from, you remember those who call themselves Mau Mau. Some of them were still looking for compensation to date from the British government. That has never happened. And if it has happened, not all have been compensated. So I believe that the panel of experts will be trying to look at the best way possible from history, where this has done, where this has been successful, and even in the country where certain cases have come up genuinely and they have presented a case before. And also, there are also court cases that have been concluded and the court have made determination that such people should be compensated. All these things will be put together to see what will be the best framework that will ensure not only people being compensated through money, but they get justice by long-lasting justice, and also counseling, because some of these guys are very young. If you notice, they're very young. And let me take you back in the most recent cases, the Gen Z protest. Most of the victims are young people. They were running away from the police. They never stayed home. They feared for their life. Some of them were shot by gang. Some of them were shot by the police. And you notice that at that time, there was nothing much that they could do. They could only hide. So it is important that they get psychological care so that they come out in the open and tell the public and the panel that this is what happened and this is why we need this help. So in terms of historical context, it's not all within Kenya. The panel will be looking at even comparative analysis with other countries in Africa and even outside Africa. What has been done before and what is the best practice to do this? You admitted, City, that, this has not been done before. We have laws in this country, Victim Protection Act, we have victim compensation, whatever. But you see, those, if you look at it keenly, they only complement a determination of a court, where the court now makes a determination that CT is a victim of state torture and these are the rewards that CT should get. In this instance, it is a protest. It's what we call a public protest, public riot, demonstration. So you are not just any other person who was pursuing a cause, and then you are arrested and then you are detained for 9 years. No. You are somebody who was demonstrating by the provision of Article 37, and you were shot, for example, and then you went missing because you feared for your life. Then you came out and say, here I am, I was shot. Where are the medical records? They are here. Such instances are not provided for in law, and therefore it's only important for the president to ensure that he puts a multi-sectoral agency through an advisory committee like a panel of experts to advise him, to advise the executive on the best approach. The best approach would be, and I agree with the president, to bring a team together, a constitutional offices together, like this panel that brings now as co-opted experts from IPOA, DCI, National Police, civil society, and even LSK, that now we can address this issue looking at the existing law, the existing evidence, the existing cases, benchmarking from other countries where it has been done before, and ultimately get justice. And even after this, the panel could recommend legislation on this issue so that Parliament can now enact a law that will, going forward, ensure that whenever such a thing happens, we have a framework that will, for sure, deal with the issues of compensation in this country.
What is the length of time that this group of experts will exist? What have the time frame have they been given to conduct their affairs?
If you read the Gazette notice, this is an advisory committee that is time bound. It has 120 days. 120 days. And they are not starting from zero. Because the reason why the other government institutions were brought on board as key technical experts, IPOA, National Police, Kenya Human Rights Commission, LSK and the rest, is because they already have data. We even have doctors from Kenya International Hospital in this. If you read the Gazette notice, they already have data of these people. They have information of these people. So within 20 days, we believe the Macau-led panel will do justice to this process, because we will start from where we know as we go to where we don't know. So that compensation must be prompt. It must be immediate.
Do you think 120 days is sufficient?
I believe with the information that the panel already have, it's a good starting point.
Okay.
But the Gazette notice also says, in the event that that time will not be enough, they can ask for more time.
Okay.
They can ask for more time.
Yeah, because,
but I believe the panel is suitable and competent enough to ensure that they expedite on this issue and conclude this issue within 120 days. I believe they can do that.
You know, we have the TGRC report. We have the Waki Commission report. I'm just giving two examples. It isn't as though some of these issues have not been looked into. If you're talking about the suffering that the public have in the hands of either the police force or in the event of civil unrest. But the thing that I would like to understand is, when we talk about compensation, I understand compensation. Justice is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
For the victims and the families, because if you are dead, then it's your family, to understand that justice has been served, what needs to happen? How would we look and say, right, justice here has been served?
Yeah.
City, the element of justice comes in this way. You know, this panel of experts has got the functionality and the legality. But the element of justice is a functionality element, in the sense that for justice to be seen to have been done, or justice to be seen to be done, there must be clear rewards and there must be clear punishment to those who did the wrongs. The proclamation by the president was an acknowledgement that here something went wrong. And the state has agreed that for sure we must go back and look at these wrongs and correct them through finding justice for the victims and compensating them. I concede, compensation alone is not enough, but justice must be found either way. And that's why we are saying the panel in their work will ensure that as they interact with the families of the victims who are paining today, they must also ensure that these families find justice on whatever form it is. And one of them could be recommendation of prosecution of those who have been found by the police to have committed these atrocities. That is one element of justice. The second element of justice is, there could be a lady who has lost a son, a mother, a husband, a father, and they are traumatized. They are traumatized. And one of the ways of settling them is to take them through counseling. By the way, the panel also has a psychologist who will be helping in this. Take them through counseling. And even the state could recommend that for such people to start a new life, might give them some seed capital to start businesses so that they bring their life together. So I believe that the element of justice is more important. And that's why we are saying we do have faith in this process as Kenyans, because it is a process that is all inclusive. If there's something that all Kenyans believe in today, they believe that victims of protest should be compensated. Where people differ is what format should it take? Who should be involved? How do you identify them? And that's why the panel has been mandated to go and develop and design a framework that will ensure that all these are addressed and it is transparent and it's accountable. That is what we are looking at.
City, echa nikuulize. Say you are abducted by whoever abducted you. They took you to the room that they took you to, and they did the things that they did to you. Then here is the panel that is supposed to look into your case so that you can be compensated and probably deliver the justice that you're looking for. I wonder if they will actually get the officers or individuals that actually took you forcefully from your car, from your home, from your school, from your work. And I wonder whether at the end of this process, because I'm sure that is not something that Kina Fred will do, but at the end of the day, if they will capture those individuals that abducted you, take them to court and put you on the opposite side of them, and then they ask you, City, do you identify any of the gentlemen who took you from your home? And you say, yes, I can see that gentleman over there, and I see that lady over there, and I also recognize that other man over there. I actually wonder if that will happen. I don't know. City, do you see that happening?
I do.
You see it happening?
I do see it happening because there's historical evidence to actually prove that this has actually happened.
It doesn't mean in this country?
No, not in this country.
Okay.
It doesn't have to have happened in this country. If we look at a reference, we're given references across Africa.
Yeah.
You're talking about Sierra Leone, you're talking about South Africa, you're talking about Nigeria. Latin America, in the 20th century, 1976, you're talking about 1973, the period of time when state terror was profound on the citizenry. The word they disappeared. That is where we got those words, like in Argentina. They were, my friend, pioneered this. Okay? Leaders like Pinochet, Agustino Pinochet. Now, one assumed that some of these matters would remain quiet. Not so. People who now are at the age where their grandfathers are being brought to book. And when you talk about the disappeared, you are talking about people who vanished, and not two or three. Like that's why they call disappeared. One moment they were walking to work, and then they simply vanished.
Never to be seen again.
Families didn't have closure. These issues have been unearthed, and people are being brought to book. Being brought to book doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow or the day after. These processes have a way of turning around things in ways that you couldn't have imagined. In the same way that the people who committed and perpetrated these ills did not think a time will be will
come when
they'll be held, when they'll be asked to account and say who was in charge of this place. It will be known who were the people who were sent out at this particular point in time. Who belonged to this unit that has since been disbanded. Where did they go to? All these things are documented. It is a question of has there been sufficient willingness for people to follow these things up? Remember, you're talking about trauma that was inflicted by state officials. Matters of state are documented, Chief. You may think they are not. They are documented. You know who works where. You know who's allocated. It is known. Even if it's not spoken of, it doesn't mean it's not known. Those who know keep quiet. Times come when people speak of these things. So you're asking me the question, do I think they'll be brought to book? Yes. Not I think. I know they'll be brought to book.
Okay.
And also, let me just add on something that City has said. You see, these injuries that are arising from protest crackdown are not attributable to the entire executive in its capacity as an institution.
Yeah.
But specifically to individual officers or state agencies that committed these crimes.
Okay.
But the state is constitutionally mandated not to wash their hands off this, but to ensure that those victims get justice. So even if the culprits are state agents, the state as an institution has a constitutional obligation to ensure that they reparate, they compensate, and they find justice to the victim. The victim could be a state agent. The victim could be a citizen. The victim could be a foreigner. That's what we are saying. We believe, as a panel, that it is time that this country heals. One of the healing processes is acknowledgement that there is something that went wrong. Secondly, it is important that the state ensures that even as they compensate these victims, even as they set this panel, even as they do all this, we don't go back where we're coming from, because we'll be going round and round and round. And that's why the TOR, some of the TORs in the panel is to do recommendations, and those recommendations will find their way in Parliament. It is only Parliament that is mandated to make laws. So if Parliament look at the recommendation and enact laws that can now guide going forward, we shall have moved a step forward. We shall have moved a step forward. And that's why we encourage the public. Please, support this process. This is our process. This is our country. Those who died, they are our brothers and sisters. Those who were injured, they are our brothers and sisters. They are our children. Let's support the process. But even if we support it, let's get genuine cases that deserve compensation.
After the 120 days, assuming after 120 they've done everything that needs to be done, they've checked all the cases, and they have a list of, say, 1,000 people, and they say these 1,000 people are the ones who are supposed to be compensated. What is the next step? Now, do people start receiving checks?
Now,
yeah, what happens?
The panel, in my knowledge and observation, the panel will not wait for 120 days to start compensating. The panel is moving. They'll start compensating immediately for as long as the data has been verified. The design is there, and that case fits within the framework. They will proceed and start compensating, because there is already money that is going to do this job. In fact, Professor Makau, our chairperson, believes that the sooner we start this, the better for the country, because those are people that can no longer wait. That justice must be found immediately. The compensation must happen immediately. And to answer you the second part of the question, what happens after 120 days? We strongly believe that at the end of the 120 days, then we shall have finished with all the victims of protest and violence from 2017 to 2025. And we shall have recommended to the relevant institutions what should be done going forward. And if there is evidence that is pointing at people who committed some of these crimes, then prosecutorial actions will be taken against them. And the president also will communicate this to the public to ensure that the public know exactly what has been done and where we are going. If you remember, in Raila Odinga's journey to democracy, these are some of the things that he has been talking about. Victims, their compensation. If you look at the 10-point agenda, part of the healing, this is part of it, of the process. If you look at the Zani-led committee, these are some of the things that they will be looking at. So, time is of essence. And I strongly believe that Professor Makau Mutua-led panel will do justice, not only to the victims, but also to the country, so that the country believes that this is the way to go in future.
There are some people obviously who've not stood but sued the country, the state. They've sued government. They've sued the police for some of the things that happened to them from 2017 to date.
Correct.
So now what happens to those individuals? Will they have to stop their cases to be considered for compensation, or will the panel award these people damages even as their cases in court continue?
I said earlier, the panel of experts on victim compensation is an advisory committee, is a facilitative committee. It is not in any way going to usurp the role of independent officers like judiciary and other commissions. Not at all. It will not do the work of the police. Not at all. It will not do the work of investigative agencies. Not at all. But the panel will look at the information before it, will go and get that information from the relevant government agencies and act on it as a panel and advise on way forward.
Okay.
Those cases that are in court, they will proceed to their conclusion because it is the duty and obligation of the court to do that. So we will not get into that. However, we do believe there are genuine cases, whether they're in court or outside court, they are genuine cases. And upon verification and finding that these are genuine cases,
Yes.
they'll be rewarded as per the framework developed by the panel.
Okay, because I'm assuming someone is probably listening, or when the
Absolutely.
Yeah, when the president did unveil this panel, and let's say it's me, Mungala Mbuvi, I have this court case between myself and Officer CT who shot me, and now sina vidole tatu, and this case is ongoing. So I'm thinking, do I first of all, exit this case so that I can deal with the panel, or do I continue the case and wait for the panel to come? Because will there be like double compensation? Because if the court ends up awarding me 10 million shillings, for example, and then the panel comes and say, we mbuvu sulishaenda kotini ukalipo 10 million. Sasa we kuna haja tunadili.
Yeah, I agree. We're likely to have such cases. They're there. But I think in the wisdom of the panel, because the panel is a wise panel also, they look at ways of navigating that and recommending. And if it's an active court case, then the only prudent thing to do is to allow the court to go to the bottom of it.
Okay.
To allow the court to go to the bottom of it. But the reason why it's called public protest, some of these issues are not in court. They are in the public out there. Somebody was shot. He was taken by an ambulance to the hospital.
Yes.
He was treated and discharged. So there is no court case. Straightforward matter. Somebody was killed, and the family members went, picked the body from the mortuary and buried that person. Straightforward matter. Very unfortunate, but straightforward matter. Those are issues that the panel will deal with immediately. And that's why Professor Makau Mutua says we must go into the compensation immediately, because there is data that can be verified. There is data that can be verified. However, it is important that the panel goes out there and engages the families, goes to the hotspots, the 47 counties. Professor Makau Mutua panel is going to go and listen to them as a facilitative process and get their ideas, get to know what is this, what happened, where is the evidence, where is the documentation, then come back and say, upon visiting these families, engaging them, talking to them, or even invite them, these are the findings, and now we base our compensation on the findings that are actual facts.
Okay.
Correct.
Because I'm looking at a situation whereby I went to court, and probably I was awarded 5 million by the courts. Whether I've received it or not is a different story.
Yes.
Then the panel comes and finds out, and from the investigation they realize, no, this person should have actually been awarded 20 million. So what happened?
Remember, the panel doesn't award.
Yes, it recommends.
This has
and
been
it
said
advises.
over and over. It's an advisory committee. It's they advise.
Yes.
I want to ask about those serving as police officers. Where there's been injury in line of duty,
Yeah.
where there's been injury and death, because we've had situations and the numbers have increased where we are told a police officer, for some reason or the other, due to some influence or the other, shot an officer, shot a senior officer, shot a civilian in a public place. How are we going to consider this? And there's a reason why I'm asking this question. There has always been the matter of understanding the trauma that the policemen and women undergo in their day-to-day duties, and there was talk of forming a committee that would ensure that they get counseling services over time. There were discussions around that matter.
Yeah.
Now,
Even Dr. Matiangi told them not to intermarry within the force.
Dr. Matiangi should keep his opinion to himself.
Yeah.
He should.
Yeah.
You cannot have a panel of experts of this magnitude and nature who are looking at trauma caused to the public predominantly by state officials like police officers, without looking at the state of mind and the ecosystem that fosters the state of mind that the police are in. Yes.
I agree with you. But as I agree with you, allow me, I just want, because there's something you have said.
It's okay, continue.
I just want to read to you the terms of reference as so that we pick it from there. As per the Gazette Notice number 179, special issue that was issued on 25th August 2025. Now, this Gazette Notice Part 2, design the reference of the panel shall be to: number one,
Yes.
design and establish operational framework to verify, categorize, and compensate eligible victims, only eligible victims.
All right.
Number two, engage with the relevant stakeholders, including families of victims, state institutions mandated to address human rights issues, civil society organizations, and religious institutions to ensure inclusivity and fairness in the compensation process. Number three, authenticate data on eligible victims from authoritative sources, including IPOA,
Yes.
Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the National Police Service, the Ministry of Health, and civil society. Number four, where evidence so warrants, recommend reparations, prosecutions, or other appropriate accountability measures. Other appropriate accountability measures
Yeah.
to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution and other relevant oversight bodies, and propose legislative and institutional reforms
Yes.
to address protests and culture of policing. And lastly, prepare and submit to the president periodic progress reports and a final report. I want to now pick from where City has left. Where evidence so warrants, recommend, reforms. One of the institutions that everyone believes in this country demands for reforms
Yes.
is the institution of the police.
Yes.
The institution of the police, because police is a constitutional body that is mandated to keep law and order.
Yeah.
And that's why you realize that every time there's protest, riots, the police are involved. And in one way or another, you do find out that some of the police officers have been found to have committed crimes by shooting,
Yes.
killing, But those are issues that they are institutional or independent bodies that are dealing with. For the panel, it will be important to understand if, for example, the panel visits the family of somebody who was killed from a police gun, and that matter is in court, and maybe the court has come out and said, hey, we found this to have been a clear case where a police shot so and so. Of course, we don't have that as per now. We have not found those findings. But assuming that happens, then there will be a recommendation on how to deal with the police officers of that nature in future. And what would have been the cause? Is it an issue of maybe trying to find out the well-being of the police, the welfare of the police officers?
Yes.
Are they trigger happy because maybe they are suffering? Are they stressed? Are they? Should we look at how they can be? The policing framework can help them manage crowds better.
Yes.
Those are issues that will come from all these experience. And I believe that we have an opportunity as a country.
Yeah.
As a country, we have an opportunity to come forward and make some of these strong recommendations that will see us in the future. But lastly, I'm also aware that the public are waiting. They would want to see what is the nature of compensation, who is to be compensated, how much is the compensation, and why is it that not only the civilians are compensated but also the police. And I explained that. So the panel, as we go forward, will be giving the public updates on what is happening, where we have reached, what we are doing, where we are going, and we want to encourage the media to be a partner. We have seen a section of the media have gone rogue. They are now trying to, make sensational headlines about a member of our panel for whatever reasons. We want to ask the media. They are our partners. We have worked well with them before, and we have seen how the media is powerful. This is a narrative that we cannot drive falsely or wrongly. It's a narrative that we must drive with accountability, and we must drive it with
sobriety.
Sobriety.
Yeah.
I know there's an issue raised of Faith Odhiambo.
Yes.
And I know maybe I might not leave this studio without talking about it.
Please do.
Let me tell you. While there is divided opinion on how Faith Odhiambo is a participant, and as this is my personal opinion as Okango, that Faith Odhiambo is a Kenyan. Faith Odhiambo is a respected lady. She leads an institution called LSK, an institution that is charged with protecting law and order. Faith Odhiambo was in the midst of this. She was one of the ladies that was admired, or is still being admired, for standing firm with the victims. It is only fair that we give Faith Odhiambo a fair chance. We have faith in faith. We believe in faith. We have faith that Faith Odhiambo, being part of the panel, will be instrumental in ensuring that the victims, that some of them she represented in court, some of them her institution that he leads, the LSK, represented in court, will ultimately find justice. Because she is now fighting from within. She sits in a panel that is going to do this job. She is capable, suitable, and competent enough to offer this service to the country. And therefore, we encourage, we support, and we have faith in faith.
Personally, I have no issue with faith, and I wish her all the best. There's a question here from Nala. She's asking, who should be held accountable for injuries or losses during protests? The state, individuals, or organizers? Perhaps you'll let us know on that one. Then there's another one here from Titus kutoka Imara Daima, anasema, kindly ask Okango, how can the government balance the right to protest with the need to maintain public order without infringing on civil liberties? So we start with the one for compensation. Who will be held accountable for the injuries? Is it individual police officers? Is it the police, the National Police Service? Is it the state? Who will be?
Let me tell you. Crackdown on protests, as I said, whether they are state organized, state inflicted, but there is an individual who causes such harm. If evidence points at an individual, it is individual responsibility. And that's why today we have an inquest going on. Who is appearing in the dock? Individuals. It's not the state. The state is mandated by law to ensure that they offer protection to the citizens. And therefore, to this extent, it is the duty of the state to protect. And in protecting, they also compensate if those cases are verified.
Titus Imara Daima, kindly ask Okango, how can the government balance the right to protest with the need to maintain public order without infringing on civil liberties?
The Constitution of Kenya states that every state organ and every person is bound to protect and uphold the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? The Constitution says in Article 37 that freedom of of demonstrations is there, and people are allowed to protest unarmed, peaceably, present petitions. That is a right that you cannot take from anyone. Not even the state can take it from you. And therefore, the state has a duty to protect those civil liberties through processes like this, and ensuring that even as we compensate victims, even as we recommend legislation on this, we do not claw back on the gains that are in the Constitution of Kenya. We cannot do that. The panel has got distinguished scholars like Professor Makau, Faith Odhiambo, Dr. Juang, Maina, Suba Churchill. Those are people that are experienced in this. And even Ogeto is there, former Solicitor General. We have got very many people who are knowledgeable and will be advising as we go ahead on what to do. But one thing I have to assure the public, the panel is not going to change the law. The panel is not going to usurp the role of the commission. The panel is not going to do the work of IPOA or Kenya National Human Rights Commission. No. The panel is a facilitative committee. It is an advisory committee that is going to advise through an executive proclamation that this panel should bring together the multi-sectoral units to allow the process of healing, to ensure that genuine victims are compensated and they ultimately find justice.
Thank you so much. Even supermarkets, the ones that were damaged?
Victims.
Okay.
Victims.
That is Frederick Okango. Thank you so much for coming through, and pass our regards to the committee. We hope that, is it a committee or commission?
It's a committee.
It's a committee, all right.
Panel of experts.
All right. Pass our regards to the panel of experts.
I will.
Let them know that we are watching, and we hope justice indeed
and your partners
shall be delivered. Yes, of course, we are
right.
partners. All right, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
We're taking a break. News with Winnie Maganga, and in the next hour, we take over another conversation.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. A multi-agency team led by the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse on Sunday morning raided a large illegal distillery in the Congo area of Kawangware, Nairobi. The operation saw the arrest of 3 suspects, all females. The Sunday operation, conducted with Nairobi area police officers, targeted what authorities described as one of the biggest illicit brewing operations discovered in the county.
And we're working closely with the members of the public, because if they share information, we are ready to act. So I want to thank our Regional Police Commander Nairobi for assisting us with the officers also, who are in support, as you can see here with me.
Police have arrested 3 suspects in Kerugoya Township in Kirinyaga County after they were found in possession of elephant tusks. The suspects were nabbed on Sunday in a multi-agency operation involving officers from the National Police Service and the Kenya Wildlife Service. Police have condemned wildlife crimes, describing them as serious offenses that endanger protected species and threaten Kenya's conservation legacy. The suspects are currently in custody and are expected to be arraigned in court. An intense security operation is underway in Kurkum, Loyangalani sub-county in Marsabit County, following the killing of 3 people on Saturday. The incident happened at Gathabi Ergek after 2 groups of herders clashed over access to water for their livestock. 1 other herder sustained gunshot wounds during the confrontation, which police say involved the use of illegal firearms. Marsabit County Commissioner James Kamau confirmed the incident, warning that the possession of illegal guns is a serious crime. He said a multi-agency security team has been dispatched to track down the suspects, arrest them, and recover the weapons used. Isiolo Governor Abdi Guyo has claimed that his political foes are behind efforts to force him out of leadership. The governor, who spoke in Nairobi on Sunday during a fundraising function at PCA Shalom Church, said his remarks came in wake of arrest orders issued by Director of Public Prosecutions, who on Friday instructed the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to arrest the governor together with 7 other individuals.
Your charges and charges like siasa. We will fight it. Na tunajua with time it will be vindicated. The conservative order was very clear. Until the case is hard and determined, you should not be arrested, harassed by anybody. On 23rd September. Nataka kuambia wale wanasiasa ambao wako nyuma ya hiyo vitu, ukitaka kuwa gavana, hakuna njia ya mkato ya kuwa nini gavana. The only way for you to be a governor is through the people. They should go and talk to Isiolo people so that they can be elected either as a governor or whatever thing they want to be to become.
United opposition bigwigs have rallied young Kenyans to register en masse as voters ahead of the 2027 general elections. Speaking separately, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka said the united opposition would front a singular candidate in 2027 elections. Kalonzo also called out the state of alleged insecurity in northeastern Kenya, where Jubaland forces are said to have crossed into Mandera County.
This is serious. This is a revolutionary moment. If we get it wrong, this country will never be the same again. When you have a foreign military occupation, it is not for the police kuenda kukabiliana na hawa. Therefore, Minister anayehusika should have addressed this issue, the Minister for Defense. Ananyamaza kimya.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. 9 minutes past 8 o'clock. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. This is Radio Generation. 88.8 in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa. The show is The People's Breakfast. My name is Mungala Mbuvi and I'm with City in the studio. City Muga. City, umesikiza what we have been told by Frederick Okango. He is basically the head of communications as far as that panel is concerned. And I have a lot of questions. We have victims of all kinds and manner. From individuals to entities such as supermarkets. Kuna watu magari yao yalichoma. Sasa kama gari yangu ilichoma, will they compensate me or what will happen?
Does your insurance cover riots?
Maybe not.
Does your insurance cover acts of nature?
Yes.
So that's the question you should ask.
So if my insurance didn't cover riots, but here is a situation where my car was burned. Sasa hii panel like ina Fedha Thiambo itaniambia tu pole.
Is that not something that falls into the category of things we need to ask?
Yeah. Or maybe a tear gas canister was thrown, got into my car, and this is a canister from the police. And then because it was too hot, it landed on one of my seats, kashika moto.
These are the questions we should ask. Yes. The extent, the breadth and the width of the recommendations that they're going to make, what they will cover. That's why I asked about the time frame.
Yeah.
Time frame as in, okay, this one we say is from 2017. Okay. But the reference point has to be beyond even 2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I remember there's this supermarket huko karibu na kwetu, Quickmart in Sio Kimau. Actually it's in Mlolongo. Quickmart, maandamano ya last year, it was really pelted with stones. And they suffered.
Was it not also vandalized?
It was vandalized. So it was pelted with stones, vandalized, and I'm sure they
essentially that was theft.
It was theft.
The pelting of stones was just to masquerade what they intended to do. They wanted to rob that store. And the individuals who it was alleged were involved, some people were arrested.
Yeah.
Whether they were arrested because they were known to be political activists or whether they were arrested because it is said that they were involved in that process, one isn't very clear.
Yeah. And also there's a supermarket where it is we saw, so I don't know how true or not true this is.
Which one?
There's a supermarket mahali noko somewhere in central region where inasemekana ni polisi waliwasha moto.
Yeah.
So now even my insurer will look at that. Let's say my insurance is called radio insurance. Wataangalia hivi waseme, hey bro, hii sasa tutakulipaje?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody sets fire, it is awesome. It's not a question of who sets fire.
Yeah.
The store didn't set fire to itself. Okay? If it was an electrical fault, then again, there are things that are covered by that, and
insurance.
There is where you can take the complaint. Yes, if somebody burns it, again, it's not your fault.
In this case where we saw police officers,
did we see them burning the store?
So let's assume, okay, you know what? Me, I just want to ask a question here. Let's assume they actually did.
The issue is whether the
So will I be paid by
So,
NPS?
No. Asan, are you covered? Because to ask the question and to extend it, if say for instance, some two people are fighting and two vendors were fighting in the street near your store.
Yes.
And for some reason one tips over a can of fuel and the other one throws a cigarette and your shop burns, will you hold these two people liable? You are protected against fire. Where you're not paid is if it is alleged and can be proved you set the thing on fire yourself to get compensation. But if somebody else, electrical fault, you will be compensated.
Well, let me go through a couple of comments here. First of all, umesalimwa na Shahi, Matthew Shahi amesema following from Nairobi.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So the Richards has actually responded to something that we had started talking about earlier on about, you know, how we were able to see the blood wound. So I'll get to that one later on. But there's Atticus now saying total BS, is referring to the conversation we were having here. Hatutaki ujinga, Ruto will go to jail, Kanja will go to jail, Lagat will go to jail. All these clowns who think they are getting away with theft and murder, tutawafunga wote. Time is ticking rather. No negotiation with Nyayo. Hussein Kelvin, good morning. A false ambition serves the neck. That is an Egyptian proverb apparently. Yeah.
Now, who did what to the neck?
False ambition serves the neck. Then he says it's an Egyptian proverb. This is now Hussein Kelvin. Sonet says, nice discussion with Mr. Okango. Evans Nyangano is asking, is Okango still in Kanu? Looks like he's slowly finding his way to blood-based government. Gunvament, actually, he's called it that. Gunvament. Okango was the Sec-Gen of Kanu. Is he still the Sec-Gen of Kanu?
I have no idea.
All right. Yeah. So, umesikia.
The thing is this, what you've read are Kenyans making known their views.
Yeah.
And we welcome and we thank them to continue making their views known. Yes, even as we circle around and support the views we have with information, with data, and with facts.
Yes.
Yes.
City, you're not a good person.
Why do you say that?
Let's go back to what Nani has said here about the red moon that we saw yesterday. So this is Richards. He's responding to, I think, a comment he had made earlier on. Let me go to that comment. He says, from where do you see the red moon when the object, which is Earth, you are standing from is the blocking factor? Do you mean the Earth is transparent, translucent for you to see through? Think. So then I said he's probably a flat earther, people who believe that the Earth is flat. But now this is him responding. I like sparking conversations that pushes humans to independently use their brain rather than just believe what is suggested by others to be true. I always made my teachers angry for pushing them to think outside textbooks and syllabus. Thank you, Richards, for your comment. You were about to tell me something.
No.
In response to this,
we had said something similar to him.
Yeah.
And we had agreed and said, when you have such views, what you're doing is you're forcing people to think beyond the boundaries of what it is that, for instance, light. Does light travel in a straight line? Does light go around corners? If Earth is standing in between the moon and the sun, okay, do you see light from the moon or the sun? Light from the moon, it is argued, is a reflection of light from the sun. So and then we are also told that what the Earth then does is it blocks the blue light. So the question is, so it means the light that comes from the sun isn't just one color, it's not just blue. So how many other colors are there? Now, these are the things that now you stimulate your brain into thinking about.
Yeah.
Yes. Is blocking really blocking? And for something to be blocked, what needs to happen?
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know, there's actually people dispute the real color of the sun. People say,
why do they dispute it?
Kuna watu wanasemanga it's yellow, kuna watu wanasema it's white, but the truth is the sun could actually be green.
My friend.
Acha niulize hapa, what color is the sun? What color is the sun? City. So the sun is actually white. That is according to AI. I mean, not AI, but Google. The sun is actually white, a blend of all colors in the visible spectrum. It appears yellow or orange from Earth because our atmosphere scatters the shorter blue and green wavelengths of sunlight, allowing more of the longer yellow, orange, and red wavelengths to reach our eyes. Astronauts in space above the atmosphere see the sun as white. Now you know.
Well, that will also be disputed, but for purpose of now, if we call it white, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right, it is white then.
Yeah, but anyway, there's a lot of factors that come to play whenever we see celestial objects, whether it's the moon, whether it's the sun, whether it's the, what's the name of this other thing, whether it's other planets. A lot comes into play. Like, for example, Mars appears red. Why? There's a lot of reason why that appears. Actually, the Mars has got very little atmosphere. Yes.
It doesn't have atmosphere.
Mars.
Meaning what?
It was stripped away millions of years ago.
How do they know?
You'd need to talk to a proper scientist.
And I'm trying to say, when you make such, not you, when such statements are made by the so-called expert, stripped away, then it means they can tell you a time when it existed for it now to have been stripped away at a certain point in time.
True.
And are they saying that they're able to do this? That's really what I'm questioning. And if they say they're able to, then I would like, where is the evidence to support this ability that they claim to have?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, if some of these things, and I'm calling them interesting facts, if you actually get to Google, you will see a lot of information out there, and you'll start questioning, just even whenever you look to the sky, not even questioning, you'll start overthinking or underthinking.
At what point do you think,
or being
and
intrigued.
at what point do you overthink?
For example, the people who just look into the sky and they see stars, they see the sun, they see the moon, and they don't even think beyond that. But now when you start getting some of this information where you're told, oh, the sun might be green, the sun might be yellow, the sun might be white, you'll never look at the sun the same way again. The moon, for example, yesterday, those people who saw the moon being red for the first time in their entire life, they'll start looking at the moon differently going forward.
In your estimate, that now is what you call overthinking.
No. I'm just saying that you will now start appreciating some of these things that you actually see in the night sky.
We will discuss this matter of overthinking later.
All right.
Yes.
Can I introduce our guest now?
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, every hour we have different kinds of conversations, and in this particular hour we're going to be talking about the entry, and I'm putting this in quotes, the entry of Jubaland forces in Kenya. And to help me have this conversation, Siti Muga and Abdullahi Alas. He is a governance and policy analyst. Abdullahi, a very good morning to you and welcome back to Kenya. When did you come back, by the way?
Good morning, and I'm very sorry I'm late for the show.
Yes.
I came back on Saturday night.
Oh, you came back from Saturday night?
Yeah.
Abdullahi was in Norway.
He told us he was going to go to Norway.
Yes. You were visiting family?
Yes.
I hope wako salama?
Very good.
Good stuff.
Good.
I like you were sending me a lot of pictures and videos, and I actually enjoyed them.
Yeah.
A lot is happening in Norway, and I wish Kenya would at least get to certain levels that I'm seeing. I know we can.
It's possible.
Kuna vitu zingine zinafanyika huko hata tunaweza fanya leo. Si lazima tungoje tuanze kukua na snow ndio tuanze kukua na vitu tuanze kufikiria kama wazungu ama namna gani.
Coming back to Nairobi, you look like a person who came back to a village.
Yeah. Do you feel like going back?
Well, family is here.
Yeah.
It's not about just how beautiful the place is or how good it is. It's
Yes.
about other things. My parents are alive.
Yes.
Mom and dad.
Right.
My kids are here. Most of them. So, and this is home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Let's talk about Jubaland forces. This is the first time a lot of Kenyans are probably hearing of anything called Jubaland forces or even Jubaland. People, just know Somalia as Somalia, but they don't know Somalia is big and Somalia has got many territories within. Yeah?
Yeah, Somalia has 18 regions, like what you call counties. And Jubaland is has a very historical significance to Kenya. Talking about 1900. There's a time the British were thinking that it should be part of Kenya. But now the current Jubaland menace is due to so many other factors. It's not something that has started today. in 2020, 2021, the same guy who took Mogadishu, but Hawa now, was in Kenya on the other side, invading Somalia from Kenyan side. So we might call it as a strategic alliance with Somalia or Jubaland, but there is a lot of politics and commercial interests.
Yes.
The issues of charcoal, the issues of sugar, the issues of roots, securing roots.
Wait, roots?
Yeah.
Roots like Mizizi?
Like trade routes.
Oh, roots barabara.
Politically speaking.
Sorry, okay.
So the current menace is Somalia is one country, yes. Somalis are one country, one nation, yes. But we have subsections of the Somali community. So the current Marihan in Gedo region are not in good terms with the president, who is an Ogaden.
Okay.
So there are a lot of other internal factors. So I think Kenyan mistake is to try and believe that some of these things cannot mutate to bigger things.
All right.
One is you will not know who is a Jubaland or who is a Shabab if they so decide to dress like them. Somalis look like one another. I wrote an article back in 21 on why we cannot repulse Al-Shabaab. I am happy that those in Garissa took up the article and implemented some of the things. And one of the things I was questioning was, how do you respond to someone on a motorbike 200 kilometers using an armored car?
What do you mean? How do you respond to someone riding at 200 kilometers?
You know, an incident happens in Asabito. Asabito is like 200 kilometers from Adera.
Ah, okay.
You see, and response time to incidents is very important, whether it's an emergency or an accident or a robbery or anything. So most of the Kenyan military or personnel have different backgrounds. There are those who come from farmland, and there are those who come from pastoral communities. The only people who can stay in Mandera are people from pastoral communities like Samburus, Pokots, Marakwets, Turkanas. You take someone from Kiambu to be a soldier in Mandera, I mean, you're just punishing him. Because he's not used to this kind of life.
Hardship.
But a Samburu guy is used to conflicts and wars and problems. So,
but isn't that where training comes in?
Well, you might train, but the resilience and endurance comes from life before training. So I was telling the Kenyan government then, why do you want to respond to an incident when someone is on a motorbike with an armored vehicle? You don't know whether they will put an IED on your way. You don't know whether they will be set an ambush. There are a lot of things that play into these things.
So they follow a motorbike with a motorbike?
Currently, yes. And that's why what they did, we told them use the local people, the KPRs. We told them to get PIs, we told them to get CIs, confidential informant. There is a budget for security, and one of the reasons for budget is to secure intelligence, raw intelligence. So I think the Kenyan government and we got more violence and death from Al-Shabaab since we went to Somalia than before Somalia.
Let me just introduce our other guest in studio. Byron Adera is a security expert. Byron, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Morning. How are you?
Yeah, we're fine. Thank you for joining us today. You've just found Abdullahi talking about this whole issue of Jubaland, and he has mentioned a couple of areas, some of the situations which you've had. Right now, there's this issue of Jubaland forces in Kenya. First of all, is it true? City is very skeptical about that, by the way. Do we have Jubaland forces in the northern region of this country?
Well, thanks for that question, and I do partly agree with my good friend. Found him talking about issues here and there, and I partly agree with his assertions. But to address the skepticism of CT on this one, there are two truths here. The very first one is the fact that Nairobi sensationally denies the presence of Jubaland forces in Mandera. And the other truth is that the local leadership, so to speak, and the citizenry in Mandera do have a different feeling. And so that brings us to closely scrutinize those two divergent perspectives. And so from where I sit, the perception gap that this creates is a problem that needs to actually be addressed. An informational gap is something that is really as critical as it gets. In the border theater, information operations is actually an oppression in and of itself. And what Mahmoud has talked about right here, a number of scenarios that is highlighted that speak to small unit tactics, the purpose that is written, that it says is adopted in Garissa, partly true. And I'm happy that you weighed in with the aspect of training. Personally, having served in the Kenya Special Forces, I do know that, yes, I didn't come from farmland, but partly so.
Yeah.
In the shores of River Nyando, we became as resilient as possible. So it's partly right. Yes, you need to have that presence, and by presence I mean someone who has that, is used to some of these theaters.
Yeah.
But training, sure, is an enabler, and it creates that platform for people to actually lockstep.
Because I'd like to believe that KDF are adequately trained.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the gap that's closed by training. I mean, if someone asked you to jump from your seat right now and to take on a parachute or something like that on your back, you wouldn't be able to. You can't even start to imagine that.
And that's a fact.
And that's a fact. But training makes us so. All men are born equal, and women as well. But of course, people become specialized, so to speak, into different traits. Yes, it plays a big part, and that's part of what nature does to you. If you're born in ASO or arid and semi-arid areas, like what is spoken to, yes, that differentiation is very, very, very critical and important. But you can actually professionalize just about anybody to become just as efficient a tool. And in this particular scenario, I'm talking about the war-fighting tools that operators are like ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also the Al-Shabaab way of doing things is not what my colleague was trained for. These are not people who are trained to stay somewhere or use a conventional war that we're using parachutes, and that era is gone. I've listened to a guy called Scott Ritter, who is an American Marine, and who was a UN inspector, and he said the kind of war that is going on in Ukraine today is not the kind of war I was trained to do. Today we're using drones to drop and bombs and even surveillance, and using infrared and other things to even scan the area. So I think my thinking is that the way you grew up will come in when you get lost as a KDF officer in the middle of Mandera. What happens? You see, if you've never eaten fruits to survive, if you've never shot a dig, you have a gun, yes. You shoot something, the gun will be hurt. So how do you look for food without being compromised?
Okay.
You see, so generally, they're close to 4,000 Kenyan soldiers in Mandera, KDF, who are more disciplined than the police and these other guys.
Yes.
The special forces, who are doing a great job, even though
Special forces are the equivalent of US SEALs.
The template is all the same. Yes, I do support your imagination.
Yeah.
I agree entirely with.
This guy watches very many movies.
Yes, he does.
No, we did.
He comments.
Hata nikitoka hapa
What movie is he referring to? But
they are not as disciplined as the military themselves.
Okay.
Who are those? Speaking of
The special forces.
they are not.
yes,
They
so
might
then
have the training,
I agree with him.
but the way they behave.
I agree with him. I mean, this is exactly what the special forces are trained for, and thanks to you for giving credit to the special forces. And I still do have small disagreements here and there. Training is a great enabler, and yes, the perspective of where someone comes from is also a matter of concern. Training in the army is very holistic, and from tactics to all these things about survival or getting lost. I mean, this whole holistic training, just like what you become as an efficient journalist. I know for certain that training is not open. It's not an open book for everyone to check through. But if you are to be given that catalog, you'd possibly sample things that are well beyond imagination. So the special forces are trained for this kind of small unit tactics, and I do agree with him in terms of what the Al-Shabaab do. It's called unconventional warfare, and you can't fight an conventional war conventionally. So the special forces are rugged, not just in their dressing, but in the way we do things. It's not routine things that you do.
I want to understand, when you say they're not disciplined as the others, what do you
They're corrupt. They take money.
Okay.
They take bribes.
And others
And that's a
take
very, very... You see, I've friends who are in the military. I have cousins in the military. I'm a friend to a few of them in Mandera, especially the OCs when they come to Mandera. And my interest is always to look at the security perspective of Kenyan I was in Busia in 1987 when Kenya and Uganda were fighting. You see, it's one thing to train. It's another thing to go to war. You've seen what happened in Al-Adda, how Kenyans were caught off guard.
Yeah.
If Kenyans were as trained as they were, there will have been people who will have picked that trade. I've worked in Al-Adda and those places. You see, war is not the gun. War is intelligence and tactics, and how to fight information. The problem with Kenyan forces when they go to northern Kenya, I might be biased, but I'm speaking as a herder. First, they lose the training, meaning most of them become overweight.
Why?
They eat, they sleep, most of them. Because when I was growing up in Mandera, we used to hear the noise of the military in the morning. You know, they used to train. You don't find that these days.
They don't train.
I haven't had them. Or even when you come.
But alas, you no longer live in Mandera every day.
No, I do. But I go to the military and you see the physique. Very few people. I've never seen a military with a belly. These days you see them.
They have bellies.
Some of them.
Okay.
And you know, and I'm not talking about what happens in the military training. I'm talking about what's happening in
post
the
training now.
Now, the special forces are doing a great job. But I just traveled by bus before I went to Norway. Okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I can't afford a plane.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you want to do analysis, some of these things you have to feel them, you have to smell them, you have to test the dust. And you'll see a special forces, some of them, not all of them, mostly they close their...
They cover their faces.
They can do their faces. And there is a car somewhere, and then the bus driver or the bus conductor will go talk to one guy, drop some money, and then...
You're talking about the military fellows you find on route?
The special forces on the route.
Okay. There's a reason I'm asking.
Yeah.
When you travel to that part of the world, there are places where you will find, should we say, a barrier that stops people from moving.
Even here,
and you are
past
inspected.
Mwingi here, just some places before Garissa.
Yes. Yeah. Now, as you move on, you find them. If you go towards Marsabit, you see.
Yeah.
Are those the people who qualify, or are they the ones we are referring to as special forces?
They're
I'm saying this because I don't special forces.
I'm not a trained military guy. I only see
neither
the dress.
am I.
So they're wearing the same thing.
I know they are not police officers.
They are not.
That much I know.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the question I'm asking is, you are alleging that they take bribes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's establish that there is this theory that they take bribes. Somebody could be greeting somebody they know. You're assuming they're taking bribes. Yeah. But let's say they're taking bribes.
Yeah.
How does this affect their performance, Alas?
You see, everybody can bribe you now. You become susceptible, including Al-Shabaab, who pay a lot of money.
They do.
Hey, boss. You see, when you're fighting people like Al-Shabaab, first of all, Al-Shabaab is an ideology. Okay? It's a person who believes he's dying for a cause.
Yes.
Some Kenyan military are raising kids. They're not ready to die. Some. The girl is in university. The woman is pregnant. A house is incomplete. And why am I saying this? When you see some of the way they behave, some of them, and you talk to some of them, and this is something that is to do with the misgovernance of the country. It goes down to the presidency, to the ministers, to the country. People will tell you, why will I die for a country that everyone is stealing from?
Okay.
That my wife and daughters are not getting. You saw what happened in June 25th. A police officer brother was killed.
Yeah.
He left the military police. So military are human beings. If they knew what happened in Al-Adda, I mean, there are people who are captive up to today.
Alas, I want to ask Byron something for the sake of clarity as we move forward. The individuals that he's talking about, the ones that we find at checkpoints, number one, are they military? And if they are military, are they special forces or are they other kinds of forces?
Well, as you can imagine, and I'm speaking from the perspective that is also lent to us, he doesn't have the full knowledge of what the composition of these people are. Neither does CT do. I'm really thankful to that. I'd want to praise the gallantry of the Special Operations Forces and speaking generally. So the composition has really many outfits. We have the police and we have special units within the police. We have the Special Operations Group, that's part of the Administration Police. It's a specialized unit that is also really capacitated to fight in this kind of, this kind of challenge, the unconventional warfare. And if you have seen their dress code, it's more of, it resembles what you'll also have in the Special Forces. Now, the other bit that you'd want to be concerned with right about now is that the police are, trained by the infrastructure and the security kind of, provision that they do for the internal, management of the security affairs of a nation. The army is postured more towards management of external aggression. That's a major definition right there. Talking and, of course, having that blanket statement that the Army or the Special Forces and their Special Operations Forces and their Special Forces, so ourselves, if you have quite some scrutiny as to what the KDF is made up of. So the Special Forces are, the 40 Special Forces, that's ourselves, the Ranger, 30 Kenya Special Forces, and then the 40 Ranger Strike, then the Parachute Regiment and other units. These are really the biggest punch and tip of the spear. And a lot of operations that proudly I took part of are really, border and across the border, deep insertions into behind the enemy lines and doing such kind of stuff. And I would praise the army any day, having left several years behind me that cases of corruption.
How many years were you there before you left?
Well, close to 8-9 years. Special Forces, 4 years solid, and I'm quite honored to have been a pioneer in the Kenya Special Forces. I would tell you that those are the strongest and fighting units you have on the land. That
are you allowed to talk about what you do?
Well, there's official Secrecy Act as well. As long as it doesn't compromise ongoing operations, then that's fine. Personal, attributes to what is done and what happened in the field, you can, in general.
You can talk generally about
Absolutely.
What you do.
Yes.
But
and
not
as long
specific.
Yes.
And so if I were to mention a specific incident that happened and ask you to clarify, you may not be able to comment on that.
Depends. On a case-by-case basis, yes. Yeah, so like I was saying, I'm really proud. I mean, the KDF stands tall, and even regionally and internationally, and that's why you have the favor that you see in terms of them being, in the forefront in terms of troop contributing countries, let's say even in Somalia. And Kenya really has stood tall with Somalia, generally specifically speaking about Jubaland in the war against Al-Shabaab. I know there's the diplomatic challenges that you have, Mogadishu and Kismayo, because of Jubaland and other diplomatic situations we've handled over time, say maritime, say all these fiascos and all. But then, I mean, you say if you have a common enemy and if you are you have a friend who fights your enemy, then ideally you have an ally on one end.
But the thing that I find puzzling in this discussion boils down to what really are we dealing with here, and I'm going to explain what I mean. When we have these artificial borders, they tend to interfere with the communities.
That's right.
The communities that are represented by what we refer to as clans in Somalia are also in Kenya.
That's right.
Okay. Now, if we look at Northeastern Province and the issues that are clan related, it tends to feature strongly amongst pastoral communities. If you go to Northern Kenya, Kerio Valley and all that, the same thing is replicated.
Yes.
So now, at what point are these conflicts matters of clan disagreement that have spilled over? And at what time are they larger issues where you find there is a relationship between the government of one country and another, and the relationship of other people who may be as intermediaries? And lastly, at what point do we include individuals who may come from communities that are represented across the border and this way and yet are in positions of authority? Then now, in my mind, it gets really mixed up.
You see, first of all, before we become borders or before we become nations, we are individuals and we are societies.
Yes.
I had the latitude and the privilege of working in northern Kenya, across from Baringo in Marigat to Chemologo, to Kagir, to Kapedo, to Lodwar, and then back to Samburu. I said on other forums that a development question cannot be answered with a bullet. That time, Kindiki was the interior minister, the current deputy president. If you go to Kapedo, it's like Kapedo is in 1960. You see, there is nothing much. There is one school where the kids from Lomelo Primary School. So if it was a Somali issue, then we have Turkanas and majority are Christians. Pokots are the same. There is no good relationship between the Pokots and the Turkana. You go further north, there are guys called Todonyan. You find Nyangatoms and Dasanach. And every time I go to the field, as someone who is enthusiastic with governance, I go beyond my work. Go to people, look at their history, look at their feeling. Most Pokots don't feel Kenyan. And that's why you have now issues of cattle rustling, you have issues of banditry. This is a lifestyle for them. And it's a business. Most of the cows that end up at KMC find their way from those places. So it's a bigger question that the Kenyan government is addressing it wrongly. You see, the moment everything you want to do is superficial, the problem is not resolved. If you go to places like Suguta Valley and that kind of Baragoy, it's very mountainous. You go with choppers. What choppers will only look at the trees, because what they do is they dig the mountains
into the hills.
Into the hills.
Yes.
So the chopper will go here. It cannot come here because they will shoot it down. So what are you doing? You're just exposing soldiers for people who know the terrain better. So by the time you take a KDF from here, he's looking at the map, talking to people. That will take like 3 months. You see. So the problem of Al-Shabaab is, even we were perceived that we have a common enemy. Al-Shabaab are Somalis. Who is funding them? You've seen in the US Congress, Africa and the world is created into a circus of securitization because there are people doing business. I came through Brussels and Norway. You look at that infrastructure. It is an illusion created by people who are in business. Because if there is no war, where will you say the guns? Where will you say the drones? You've just seen what China paraded. Where will those things go to? So there is a far much complexity of securitization in the world than the circus we are creating. Al-Shabaab is funded by the US. They said it in the Congress. Who created, the Taliban? It was created back when the British was fighting the Russians. Then the Russians were fighting the Americans. The Americans were fighting the British. It's a circus. So if you look at global business, I happen to read, and I got interested in reading books by CIA directors and FBI and KGB. I got interested in them. It is a business. Because why do you think people in northern Kenya, like if there is Al-Shabaab in my neighbor, I'm not going to report it. Why? The consequences of reporting it is far much worse than leaving them alone. Uliwaona aje? Ulipata information wapi? Hebu weka hapa. The kind of beatings you're going to receive. Ulijuaje kwanza hao ni Al-Shabaab?
Kwani tunajuaje wewe si Al-Shabaab?
No, they had mask, they had gun. So it is your work. When you were trained to go find out. You go find out. So
what if I just overheard them saying the way they will come and bomb George Padmore Ridge?
You don't say, you say it's none of my business. You just go.
So I just wait for them to bomb.
You don't. No one is going to report Al-Shabaab in Mandera. Why? The consequence of reporting them by the Kenyan security apparatus. Kwanza anti-terror will pick you. You'll be blindfolded, you'll be beaten, you'll be brought to Nairobi, taken to a call room. A lot of nonsense that were used in KG. Warfare these days is different. So, the Kenyan government does not understand what it is trying to put its hands on.
Okay.
This, if you looked at what Israel did with Lebanon, they did a process of 20 years. For 12 years, they were publishing gadgets in Thailand and other places, and they were supplying the Lebanese, Hezbollah. And when the right time came, they blew them up. 1,500 generals and senior people were killed. So sometimes issues of dealing with intelligence and people's focus, it can be 10 years. Al-Shabaab can decide to plant people in the police. You will not know. Why? They will start recruiting from high school. And they will make sure because the people controlling them are not. Do you think a very semi-illiterate, ragtag, skinny-looking Somali can do a lot of these sophistication guys in somewhere in the Kemohada? Who is giving him all this information? Who is giving him the intel? Who is feeding him with this information? How did 200 and plus trained Kenyan army, KDF, just lose their life like that? I mean, there must be certain coordination happening. Because I was told that the people who are involved, well, you'll see there's weaknesses with the men. So they were susceptible to seduction and these things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure my friend knows, even in the training, maybe they are told that women, I mean, in Iraq the other day, a Jew woman accessed the Hezbollah guys and the Iranian officials.
Okay.
They only discovered after 8 years. So some of these things are long term. Kenya has a border that is 700, more than 700 with Somalia. It has a weak police. I'll tell you that without any doubt.
When you say 700, you mean 700 kilometers?
Kilometers.
Okay.
You know, from
the length of that
yeah,
border.
The length from, you know, BB1 to Malindi, Lamu, that side.
All right.
It does not have the capacity because they are stealing the money that was meant to be done. Because if I was in charge of security, these special forces, why is it that there are no helicopters and armed drones nearby?
Perhaps Byron can help us
Yeah,
understand.
because Byron need to tell us what happens if Al-Shabaab, 200 of them were sighted, and then we are fighting 20 well-trained KDF. There are some of them are there's a Turkana guy who was killed in Asabito. That guy was trained in Israel and Germany place. He was very good. He was a friend. He was very good at his work. Al-Shabaab used to fear him. Why?
Knew him.
They knew him. They were tracking him. But he was also tracking them. Why? He got ingrained into the Somali culture because he was, you know, he released himself. You know, we are all biased.
Yeah.
He removed his bias. And he just said, I'm going to trust people. He employed KPRs. He trained them well in how to gather information, how to detect issues, how to report these things. They did a mistake. They said Shabab set a trap for them because when they went to the open, Al-Shabaab were in the hill. And I'm not trained, but from what I read, the person on the higher ground has always advantage on the person who coached
on the lower ground.
So they shot him. He was the first to be shot. So you see, so there is no air support for it. Because my thinking was, if they fight them, Al-Shabaab will try now to run to Somalia. If you can cut them using helicopters, drones, and hit them hard, then that way we will. There is nothing. These guys are not getting support from the air. So why do we have helicopters with gunships? Because if you're 20 of them, you fight. You have a Motorola. You send signals. By the time on that side, even Americans, that's what they do. You clear with bombs so that you have ways. So I think there is a lot of gap. Even they are not supported 100% by the security operator.
I think it was sometime last week. I was just asking CT. Kenya has been in AMISOM. It's been in Somalia for, I can't even remember how long now. It's been a very long time. And we are still fighting this war. We are still trying to, control this whole situation with Al-Shabaab. But every now and then, Tuaskia Boni Forest, something has happened. Maybe help me understand as a civilian.
Before you answer, Byron, I mean, this what were you talking about? Because when you hear of Jubaland officers coming to Mandera, where's the Al-Shabaab element there? Remember, I posed a scenario. Issues that have to do with conflict from communities and clans spilling over. Bless you. That was my hypothesis.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what really are we dealing with? That was really my question. Are we looking at a situation where conflicts that have arisen that are not really political with reference to country, but individuals and communities who have issues, and then carry those issues with individuals who actually are in Kenya and belong to different communities? Are we seeing inter-clan conflicts spilling over? That really
It
is my
is.
question.
That's why the Jubaland forces cannot win in Gedo. Because they are on this side of Garissa and this trench of, Tukismayo side. So what is happening is that the Marihan, who are the majority, the former president, Farmajo and Siad Barre, are predominantly in Gedo. The Ogadens are on this side. Garissa.
No. This side is which side?
This side of Garissa, Kismayo.
Those are Ogadens.
These are Ogadens.
Okay. And
Those
the
are
fellows?
Marihans. You see, and just like in Kenya, it might be silent, but you'll have Luos, Kikuyus, Kales, all fighting for power.
It isn't silent. It's actually fairly.
You know what I'm saying? Silent in the sense that we are not carrying guns among ourselves.
No.
Yes, you see. But I'm saying this kind of fighting for power is also dominantly there within the Somalis.
A little history here.
Yeah.
Who were the people who led the insurrection that actually got Said Barre out?
Those are the Hawiyas. Those are in Mogadishu now. But it was a combination of so many others from Puntland, Garissa.
Why I asked the question is because there is a term that I have come across and studied for a while. It's called a vendetta.
Yeah.
Pastoral communities have long memories.
Yeah, very, very long.
And there was which were fought, which actually began some 50 years ago.
Yes.
But it's just carried on and you're fighting. No, seriously.
Being fought even today.
You're fighting it today, but the genesis is not today or last week. The genesis is some 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But now you can answer the question. But I'm still going to go back to what I'm asking.
Well, I do agree. Your question has a lot of validity. If you look at this same history that you're talking about, and the history of, say, marginalization does get into the equation. And with regards to what Johan Galtung called the structural violence theory in 1969, that if you have organizations, within a kind of setup, whether the societies, as he spoke to it, we start by being individuals, then we become, families, then we become societies, then we build nation states, that ordinarily, yes, by the definition in terms of sovereignty, are defined by borders, then you still have communities that, spread across those borders. So the common communities, say, Turkana, the Pokots of this world, the northeastern, if you talk about, particularly Mandera, has those kind of peculiarities as speaking too. And nations will define themselves as sovereign states, by law and, of course, territorial integrity, by having those borders. And sometimes those borders are very amorphous. Sometimes you have those borders we're speaking about, the 700 kilometers plus, common borders between what now Mandera, the frontier counties, you have the Kenyan territorial borders, and of course Somalia, sharing in a mesh of informal and formal trade, and it's relying heavily on movement, whether it's livestock, goods and services, and people. And then, so that brings us to the equation of where then there's contestations. Naturally human beings are not, if you are in heaven, perhaps it would be better. But even heaven, I keep saying, is a gated community where sinners are kept out. I'm saying lightly.
Clearly,
you
speak as someone who's been there.
Yes, I do. So then, these communities have their peculiarities. So you look at Jubaland shared a common, interest, and the common interest. I'm talking about a common enemy. By Kenya going into Somalia, there's problems, and we were quite honored to have been the first people in by 2009, 2010. Of course, leading up to 2011 when I was shipping out. So you remember during that time there were different kind of scenarios, and the terrorism was actually just settling in. So Al-Shabaab was that common enemy. So how do we hold a hand? Kenya said yes, by holding a hand to Greater Somalia. Of course, you have Jubaland, you have all these other nation states, member states, because Somalia is a federal republic, right? And so you have these member states. And so Jubaland was a friend, and President Madobe was leading, the militant group that Kenya said, let's capacity build. And that then brought Kenya into capacity building. So there was loads of trainings that did happen. A lot of them are happening, as time goes, even up to about now, that capacity building is still happening. And when you talked about AMISOM, there's been that transition for the lead that's taking place right there in terms of organization and the coordination of the fighting forces. And I'm speaking about the different countries that are troop contributing countries, both military personnel, police, and of course civilian people, for the purposes of basically harnessing the advantages of bringing in peace and fighting the Al-Shabaab as the common threat.
But when you
now
say
those
peace,
Jubaland, yes.
When you say peace,
yes.
Are we saying that even in the absence of Al-Shabaab, that in the larger Somalia, that there is peace, and that these units do not?
Not at all. So those are the challenges. So at the greater level of Somalia itself, Somalia is, we're talking about the republic, the Federal Republic of Somalia, has had its challenges, dating back to what you just cited. So yes, there's a lot of homogeneity. The clan is possibly like, is Tok Luyas, but the sub-clans, you have that in Somalia. That's what you're dealing with, and so the political contestation is a big thing. Then now you are talking about the federal states of Somalia that then are also organized in their different forms and political, affiliations. They're autonomous or semi-autonomous, so to speak. And so you are having, like in the case of Jubaland, you're having Jubaland here paying its allegiance to Kismayo, and of course you have the federal forces that are, aligned with Mogadishu. That in and of itself is a point of, the vertical tensions that then come, and then atop that you have this clan dynamics, and then you are now adding other scenarios.
What's the quarrel between Mogadishu and Kismayo? What are they quarreling over?
First of all, let me give a history of who Madobe is. Madobe is someone who was born in Ethiopia. He's not even original from Somalia.
He was born in the Ogaden area of
that
Ethiopia.
Side, yes. Yeah.
All right.
And majority of even the people around him are the people who came from the former regime of Abdi Ile. This is the current Mustafa. Mustafa's brother was killed by the previous regime, and then the previous regime President Abdi was arrested by the Ethiopian government. Then everybody in that place found heaven. So the day Madobe will leave, which he will, we don't know when. There are two things that I've learned from Afghanistan. They say always have patience and time will be on your side. There is something you can't fight. You can't fight. That's why we will not win this war. You cannot guard 750 kilometers every day.
Yeah.
We don't. Even if we take the whole of KDF, they will not be enough. Did we make a mistake of going inside? They both take the war to the enemy, but could we have guarded our borders and take the war to the enemy by using our jets? We have very, very infrastructure in the air. Americans use that to bombard people just before, and drones these days. You don't need to go there these days. You just need very good surveillance, raw intelligence, and then you fight from there. So did we mismatch the sophistication of Al-Shabaab? They are very good in the espionage world, and they're very patient.
These are now the Somalis.
The ones in Somalia. Now, Madobe is someone who was part of Al-Shabaab. Okay? He was someone who was part of the Islamic Court. He was, a ragtag militia leader himself. So he's not, this sinless superhero. No, he has bullets on his bodies because he was a soldier. So now, just like the northern Kenya MPs who don't want to leave office, I say, do people have a lot of things to do in their life? He was in KDF, he left, he's going to do something else, then maybe tomorrow he's a farmer. You need to do things in life.
Yeah.
But if you want to become obsessed with power, a time will come. Where is Saddam Hussein? Where is Libya, Gaddafi? Where is everybody? You see. So, the complexity, as a Kemal had myself who grew up in the north, there's a book recently, I saw one of Kenyans reading, about Sir Charles Eliot in 1905. And he was talking about the Somali. Every certain society or people God created have certain things. You talk of the Luos in this country. We always associate who is going to brag for us if we don't have Luos in this country, because they will tell you being a Luo is a lifestyle.
It's a software.
It's a software. These are creations of our imaginations. Luos don't walk; they come, they arrive. You talk of Luyas, you're talking about eating. You talk of Kikuyus, you talk about stealing. You talk of warriors, you talk about banditry and these things.
Now, these are the stereotypes
in the societies. So if you read Charles Eliot, he says Somalis are not people you fight and then they shake hands. No, they revenge and then they have to. Every time an Italian, every time a Somali was whipped, 2 Italians were whacked. You see, it's just the way we are killing. And then men, you see, look at Palestine from 1945. The Israelis are pushing them, but they're still a problem. Our problem in Africa, when you go, Europe had problems. Norway is like 120 years independent after 1905. But they had problems with the Swedish. They had problems with the Danish.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they were one time part of it.
They were at constant war among themselves.
Bergen, which is a town in the Vikings, used to kill people. These were hunters and gatherers. The Norwegians, it is not as rosy as it is. Because when I went there this time, the Danish were the ones controlling both Swedish and yes, you see. And then you talk of Northern Ireland and Scotland. Look at America. America was a colony of the British.
Yes.
Just because they were 200 years ahead of us, it doesn't mean that those flyovers and beautiful airports when you go to JFK.
Actually, they had
the worst. In fact, we are more civilized.
For someone to bring them peace.
Yes.
The history of Europe, and if you send to Scandinavia, is a history of constant
war and hunting and gathering. You see,
so
if you look at us, when Chenua Achebe was in school, and I don't know whether you read his books and watched his interviews.
I read one, Man of the People.
Yeah, he said, we always, think that the white man was special by defending his adventure until I know I was the savage. So Africans, we had life. By the way, there is no Western civilization. If you look at it critically, there's a lot of things that are happening. So
I want us to take a short break, gentlemen. These stories are so interesting. Mpaka nikasahau kuna news. So let's do the news. When we return, let's talk about Ragnar Lothbrok because so here's the news with Winnie Maganga.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has summoned 8 high-ranking officers who have served in various departments of Nakuru County Government. This is over alleged irregular payments of 22 million Kenya shillings in legal fees to private law firms. In a letter dated September 2nd, 2025, which surfaced over the weekend, the Commission instructed the officers to appear in person at the EACC South Rift regional offices for questioning. The 8 are expected to explain how legal services amounting to 22.6 million Kenya shillings were procured from private law firms without the approval of the County Executive Committee and allegedly bypassing the county attorney, as revealed in recent report by the Auditor General. President William Ruto has called for reforms in the use of special drawing rights under the International Monetary Fund. Speaking on global financial reforms, Ruto said the Resilience and Sustainability Facility, which was designed to channel SDRs for climate action, has instead become tied to IMF programs and traditional conditions. He stressed that SDRs should serve people, not procedures, and argued that they be directed toward climate resilience and sustainable development. The president was speaking at the 2nd Africa CARICOM Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Sunday.
Special drawing rights were intended to support climate action and resilience. They must not become another instrument of conditionality. The Resilience and Sustainable Facility, designed to channel SDRs for climate, has become an add-on to IMF programs bound by traditional conditions. SDRs must serve people, not procedure. Number 5, energy sector integration. IMF debt sustainability analysis must account for energy sector reform. Without significant investment in power systems, green industrialization will remain a deferred dream.
Police are investigating an incident where a police officer shot and killed 2 boda riders near Makongeni police station in Thika town. The drama unfolded Sunday morning after a road accident involving the officer and a rider with his passenger. Witnesses say the officer attached to the station had knocked them down in what police described as a non-injury accident before the confrontation turned fatal. The officer's vehicle was set ablaze During the incident, he is currently in custody.
Ile tu accident ya kawaida ilipatana na mtu wangu akiwa amebeba customer wake, akaguzwa nyuma na gari. Hapo ndipo wale walikuwa nyuma walikuja kusaidia, kuuliza huyu mwenye amewaguza, bona unaenda na umewaruza watu pale nyuma. Kupelekwa hapa station, ndio jamaa alikuwa na funjo, alikuwa mrevi sana, na hapo ndio tulinotice ako na buduki. Jamaa alitoa buduki akashoot hawa majamaa wawili wenye sio wenye walikuwa kwa accident, wenye walikuwa anakuja kusaidia.
An Australian judge sentenced convicted killer Erin Patterson on Monday to life in prison with parole after 33 years of killing 3 people with toxic mushrooms, capping a trial that sparked a global media frenzy. 50-year-old Patterson was convicted in July of triple murder for serving a poisonous meal to her estranged husband's parents, aunt and uncle during a sumptuous beef Wellington lunch at her home in 2023. Her trial drew podcasters, film crews, and true crime fans to a courthouse in the rural town of Morwell. Audiences from New York to New Delhi followed every twist of what many simply call the mushroom murders.
For the attempted murder of Ian Wilkinson, I sentence you to 25 years imprisonment. For the murder of Heather Wilkinson, I sentence you to life imprisonment. For the murder of Gail Patterson, I sentence you to life imprisonment. For the murder of Don Patterson, I sentence you to life imprisonment. All sentences are to be served concurrently. The total effective sentence is life imprisonment, and I fix a non-parole period of 33 years. I declare that you have served 676 days by way of pre-sentence detention.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio.
I've never seen anything like this.
But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey.
You got it locked.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation. The People's Breakfast is where we are at. The conversation earlier on was very interesting. I even forgot that we were to do news. But yes, I apologize for that. But here we are. We are back. And I think I caught one of you talking. We shall revisit that conversation shortly. In studio, we do have Siti Muga. And then we have our guests who are actually... we are having a very interesting conversation. I hope you guys actually listen and tuned in. So we have Byron Adera. He's a security expert. And we also have Abdullahi Alas. He's a governance and policy analyst. And we're talking about the entry of Jubaland forces into Kenya. But tumejipata tukiongea juu ya Al-Shabaab. But it's more or less the same thing. Because we're also trying to understand this whole clan system in Somalia. And you've explained a lot of things that personally I didn't know up until this particular moment. And I just want to understand, as we recap, as we get back rather to where we were. The reason we have Jubaland forces in Kenya is because they are running for their lives, or they've been chased by Al-Shabaab, or are they chasing Al-Shabaab in Kenya?
They were chased by the Somali National Army. So they were overpowered.
It's the... Okay.
They were overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
First
So
of all,
they
I want to
actually-
answer...
so they actually
no,
are Jubaland.
I want to answer CT sentiment.
Yes.
Jubaland forces are in Mandera.
They are running for their lives.
They are in BB1.
Okay.
That's where Kenya starts from. They were overpowered
BB1.
by a former...
BP, that's border
B,
point.
Border point 1.
Okay, okay.
BP1.
Okay.
Border point 1. That's where Kenya border started from.
Okay.
So, Janan, who is now in charge of Belhawa, was a former minister for Jubaland. But he comes from the sub-clan of the Marihan Somali, within the Somalis. So, before, when they... And I told you there is a big... The moment KDF pulls out, the moment KDF pulls out, there will be an inter-clan conflict there in pursuit of power between the Marihans and the Ogadens and the other Somalis. But now what I'm generally saying is Kenyan interest might have been good, but Kenyan people do not understand the nitty-gritty dynamic huko chini. And you know, if I'm employed today by Kenyan government, I'm going to tell President Ruto the truth. whether it's between my clan and other people, you tell them strategically this is what is going to lead. It's going to mutate to this. So Jubaland forces have ran away for their lives because Hassan Sheikh, who is the president of Somalia, supported Janan, who is from the same community, and a state is always more powerful than a county. It's like Bandera fighting Kenyan national government.
Yeah.
What if we decide the 2 million of us, we are going to mobilize 200,000,
Yeah.
we are going to arm ourselves, we are going to train in Mogadishu, we are going to be headache for the Kenyan government.
I'm sorry
You
for
see,
laughing. but yeah.
I'm trying to paint a picture. It's like Bandera County fighting the national government. Because Jubaland is a region.
So let me understand this again for my grandmother, who's I hope she's listening.
Yeah.
What we are saying is
Your grandmother speaks English.
Don't worry.
She has a translator next to her.
Don't worry.
What we are saying is, so Jubaland being one of the counties.
Yeah.
So let's say Nairobi. No, let's say Machakos County. So Machakos County, Jubaland, yeah?
Yes.
So Machakos County has got forces.
Yes.
And these forces have been chased away by the Nairobi government.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I get it.
Yeah. Now, what Somalia is a very peculiar country. I worked there for 10 years. My skin, we were called the skinny looking by the story in Black Hawk.
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
One of the characters.
City,
It's
a movie, but it has historical facts.
I also watch movies, so I know what
a movie is a genre of literature.
Thank you.
A movie is a genre of literature.
Thank you.
So it teaches a lot.
Yes.
The imagination of a war is just what people do. So the thing is that
thoroughly inflated.
Yeah, we have less than 15 million.
Yes.
We have less than 15 million with 7 presidents.
Okay.
That's what Somalia is about.
Yes, you see, you cannot have Jubaland as a president. It's like now the governor of Mandera is the president of Mandera.
Yes.
Machakos, we have a president. Gladys Wanga is the president of Bigori.
Yeah.
Kuna upuzi mingi because if you look Homa Bay, you see, if you look at federalism,
yes,
it's not going to work in Somalia. Federalism works in people with different faiths, different languages, different dialects, a lot of other things if you study it. That's why devolution is working in Kenya, because the design was deliberate. And I'm happy for the guys who wrote the constitution because majority were coming from across Kenya.
Okay.
I think there were only 2 Kikuyus, and I'm good there were only 2. Because they will have overtaken everything. Now, what I always say, do not interfere with my thought. What I always say is when Kenyan brain comes together.
You are profiling.
No, I'm not profiling. I'm just joking.
Yes.
I have more friends Kikuyus than Somalis.
You are profiling.
No, well, they did. They called me Shifter and Al-Shabaab. Boniface Mwangi always called me Al-Shabaab. I call him Mungiki. So that's just a societal, stereotypes. So, you see, when Kenya comes together, if you look at the composition of the guys who wrote the constitution, those are the best brains. This country can be number 1 in Africa. We are now competing with Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, and Egypt. Believe you me, the kind of human resource we have, the kind of capital we have, the kind of budgets we have, if we only stop stealing and we put mediocre in our places. Imagine a Luo engineer in charge of northern Kenya. You want to bribe a Luo engineer, he looks at you and tells you, bro, this is not how we do things.
Okay.
You bring the best of Somalis, the best. It's not every Luo who is corrupt, or every Somali who is corrupt, or every Kikuyu who is corrupt. Look at what Maraga is doing. Marago, whatever he believes in, in Allah tells us Muslims, you judge people from what they say. What is inside them, you don't know. That's why you just take the word of someone. When Maraga picks the Bible in front of a panel and says, I swear I've never paid bribe and I've never taken, it's appearing from his body. The Prophet ﷺ told us all people who steal from other people, they are like elephants.
Utawaona.
Nyama imejaa. Wanakula because it's not sio yao. So hawajui consciously they need to stay fit. This is people's money. You don't need to live, you need to be fit. Hiyo vitu itasaulika. Kazi yako ni kubeba tu. There was an OCS I saw the other day on news. That guy like 1,000 kgs. I was like, ulikula nini? So you see, what I'm trying to say is this. Our country's best men.
Yeah.
Yes. We had Ouko in this country. We had Ahmed Khalif in this country. We had Tom Mboya in this country. There are people who did not die. The soul left, the body left, but the souls are. J.M. Kariuki did not die. J.M. Kariuki was murdered, yes. The body left us.
Yeah.
J.M. Kariuki is alive. Because every time I was not born, my mother was not even married. I think my dad did not even know my mom when J.M. was killed in 75.
Okay.
But today, I have read about him. I would love to go and meet his. That's how human beings, when you are decent, people respect virtuous, decent human beings. It's not about money.
I'd like Byron perhaps to, just the other day, I think it was there's a paper last week that said, is it a paper or did I read a meme? I'm not even sure where I saw this information.
You saw a movie.
Maybe it's a movie I watched. But I understand Egyptian forces have now joined the AMISOM team.
It's not AMISOM. It's translated. It's transited from AMISOM. It was ATMIS, the African Union Transmission.
Oh, AMISOM has now changed names.
Yes, it changed from AMISOM. Then it went to ATMIS. Yeah, the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia. It's now IAUSOM, which is African Union Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia, which de jure came into force on the 1st of January this year, 2025. And the full transition took place in March 2025. And yes, Egypt joined.
Yes.
There were problems between Ethiopia, right, and of course Somaliland at the top.
And Ethiopia
access to the port, but that's since been handled, and of course now Ethiopia is bringing forces back in. As part of the troop contributing countries.
Yes.
You know, during the ATMIS as well, there was Kenya, there's Burundi, there was Ghana, some forces from West Africa. So that was the nature of the composition of the TCC in Somalia. But then, yes, in terms of what you just spoken to, a number of concepts that I'd want to also reiterate. I introduced the structural violence theory. That's something that's really, alive even within the borders. Johan Galtung, 1969, that the way of societies, organizations are just postured in and of itself can cause people to gravitate towards violence by, the society or the organization of those kind of setups, preventing them from reaching their basic needs. And so Somalia is peculiar and is spoken about the tribal or the clan dynamics, much as you'd expect the dominant religion as well. I mean, well over 99% being Islam. So it's not too many of these. You have the Jehovah Witnesses, and speaking casually though, in Luyaland and the Jesus of that part of you're thinking homogeneity, almost homogeneity across the board. So why are we having this problem? So those are the really deeper questions to scrutinize when we are talking Project Somali. And he's right to talk about those clan dynamics that then are organized into these different federal states, also then sharing in the extrapolation of those dynamics. So much so that when you have presidents in charge of the federal member states, and then you have a president in charge of the Somaliland, and what is spoken to in terms of then now the infighting and the affiliations that you have between this member state and whatever regional leadership and the other, to appoint occasions this kind of vertical tensions, then it becomes very interesting from those perspectives. And so the suffering then that Kenya shares in is not merely the fact that Kenya took the lead, and I spoke to it. Kenya had the best of interest. We have a common enemy here. Terrorism, and to answer City's concerns, is a transnational kind of threat. George Bush stood in the rubble after 9/11, and he said terrorism anywhere is terrorism everywhere. Indeed it is. The very fact that it's this transnational means, and ideological, so to speak, means that war can be propagated from 1,000 miles away, and it is you interacting in the social media spaces that then you get more or less recruited into the ranks and file. And you've seen the lone wolf now that you watch movies. It's just one individual waking up and saying,
I'm actually watching The Dark Wolf right now, Terminal List.
Amazing stuff. So then you get an individual who wakes up and says, I'm angry at the way the government is working, and I'm angry at the level of profiling that I'm suffering. I'm angry at the historical marginalization. You look at being involved in the analysis of the northern frontier quite a bit, and of course the Capedo, and you talk about the Baragoi, spoke to that. And sadly we've lost gallant men and women, the warriors that have been in those spaces. And you find someone saying, naenda Kenya, like he's going to Kenya, like they feel that they're outside the borders. And we are not talking about just this government, it's been very historical. So the northern frontier have shared in those kind of stuff that are summarized under the structural violence theory. But then there's more to it. The very fact that people don't feel part and parcel of the national cake, and it's not just the cake, but just the recognition that we there. And so when we are talking about the perception gap, the very fact that then there's just the idea that the government may be dismissive or silent on the concerns of individuals. From that perspective alone, there are deeper issues of sovereignty and, of course, territorial integrity. And I'm talking about this from the aspect of not just territoriality being an aspect of a principle of law, but a status, social status that then yourself, City here, myself, would feel that yes, we have been recognized. So from those perspectives alone, there is a big gap. And when you're talking ideological war that we are fighting, a belligerent or an adversary like Al-Shabaab that are as good as they are, will see those kind of things. And when you are susceptible, you stand for nothing, as they say, is fall for everything. So that then creates a populace that are susceptible to those other narratives, and that's a dangerous standpoint to actually review. So whether bullets have flown or not is not a big question. The bigger question is, what kind of susceptibility are we maybe allowing to get involved in this equation that then people will become, they're not feeling part of these homes. So you say, oh, my neighbor is doing better, and so those are the grave concerns that you're talking about. But then there's much more to it. The political, leadership that are in these parts of the lands are also people that, they hold sway. So the idea about information integrity and strategic communication, and to mention, is very, very important. And as mentioned earlier, in the border kind of space, or joy in general, the war theater of war, information operations are actually operations.
Talking of information,
yes,
Kenya has an alliance understanding with the US. The only other countries that we know have these things are the Europeans, NATO. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, which brings me to the information, and which brings me to intelligence.
Yes.
Given what we understand and what's in the public domain about electronic surveillance that the intelligence forces and military forces within the US have, are we saying that it is not possible for them to have known that there was a group of people moving towards Kenya? Because if there is a war and people are fighting, are we saying that this cannot be picked up so that in advance this is what is going to happen? And if it is going to happen.
Well, if I can, nothing is absolutely foolproof, bulletproof. And intelligence, the belief that intelligence is really that sophisticated is a myth.
Is it
the
really?
sophistication of intelligence lies in the bulk of it. Everywhere you go is human intelligence. Yes, there's a whole lot of things, as you will admire in the movies and the NSAs of this world.
No.
So
this isn't my reference isn't to movies.
Yeah, I get it.
My
reference
I'm coming
is
to electronic surveillance.
Absolutely. So then let me answer. So when they say they say this. If they are very clever in the modern way, you track them down the traditional way. A lot of the operations that you get to witness amongst the ranks and file of very unconventional forces like the Mujahideen or the Al-Shabaab, so to speak, are sophisticated as well in the traditional way. That what we've discussed with you does not get to him if it's not this basically they believe in working in this kind of solutions so as to break that kind of, so that is one silos.
The silos.
So that is one aspect. So they basically operating, if you are clever like that in the modern way, then they go down the traditional way. So they believe in basically you get information by hand, by ear to ear, and then it's transmitted. And there's a need to know. So City doesn't know what we know, and you don't even know that there's this person behind him on this side. So that is one. The other bit is the unconventionality of the operations, which makes it hard. You and I, myself and someone else will be operating very, and under the rules of engagement as well. They don't pay attention to those kind of rules of engagement. And to the point that even the type of what's recognized under the rules of engagement, and where you expected to dress in particular uniforms, they are not adhering to such kind of things. So it makes it really, and the blending. He spoke to the very aspect of how the homogeneity in terms of the tribal composition, the clanism right there, and just the way they look, the skinny, yeah, it's all the same across the board. So it's really difficult, especially when this then is added to other aspects of deception, like they move by night, let's say. Even the most sophisticated of those, we'll just see a swarm of human beings moving, but aren't they moving by the kind of mesh of informal and formal trade? This they do. So when they even carry their weapon systems by vehicles, and this is normal, supply of water is the challenge in some of those areas, you will not pick that unless you invest very heavily in human intelligence. And I want to speak to that human intelligence and the gaps that exist as well. The Somalis are peculiar, and to the point that he spoke to it, they will not tell of each other very easily. So you need really an investment that goes really deep in time to infiltrate. So target infiltration is really difficult from that perspective as well. And then there's other scenarios which I'll speak to too. So you talk about the common border that is of that length, and how many are we? You cannot police every inch of that border. That is one. And so that plays vis-a-vis, if you analyze that side by side with what you'd want to harness and seize its initiatives on in terms of the national will. So bringing people together on top of this national cake so they feel part and parcel. So then you are building that buy-in. If that buy-in doesn't exist, then again, the information that they have, you got it underneath it, and the motives in between that need to build those bridges. If they don't exist, then it becomes harder for people to share.
But what is now puzzling is that there's still absolute denial by the Kenyan government.
Yes, it's absolute denial is a mechanism of securitization. It's not common to Kenya. I think my friend will agree with me that the CIA uses covert operations, and then there is deniability of the people. They will be told, like mercenaries, they will be told, we'll give you money, like the guys fighting in Ukraine or these places. You'll be told, listen, this operation is very complex, we'll give you your money, we'll give you everything we agreed if you're caught.
Deniability.
No, we don't know you. You never worked for us. So that is but mine is how Kenyan. Do you know we trained some of the soldiers for Jubaland here? There's a book I'm going to bring here so that you understand these things very well about Mandera. It's called Impediment to Peace in Mandera County, co-funded by Interpeace and NCIC. I was the audiovisual head, so I interviewed more than 900 people across that border. That's why I know so well. And one of the things I was sharing with my friends is to say some of the things were internal factors include clan incitement and competition, resources scarcity, the county location along the porous border with Ethiopia and Somalia, deficit of counter coordination policies, mechanism for cross-border security, movement and trade, hinders efforts to address these governance and policy challenges, lack of national government investment, perception from history, all these things. You see, today, my father was shot by the shifter then. He's alive. They shot him from this side. The bullet exited here, went through the wall, and it killed one of the bandits.
Okay.
I think I was 2 years old.
It went through him into the wall and killed the bandit.
Killed the other guy. Now.
That must have been one hell of a bullet.
Well, it is just the length of, shooting an AK-47 or G3 from a very short distance. Some of us are well acquainted with these guns because they're all over.
Okay.
At the shifter war, people were learning to survive. If you have 100 camos, you need to either register it or... And there are more guns with civilian in this country than the government, if you research. I think they're 6 to 1 or 5 to 1. If you go to the north, Kenyans killing... my concept of the north is Turkanas, Samburus, Pokots, killing KDF. So these are not Americans killing white men or black men. These are Kenyan forces and Kenyan people killing each other. How did you get to that? It emanates from a development question. Pokots, I think up to now, most of them have no proper chiefs or proper schools. So they became very wild. They are sharpshooters. And these are 20 years old. There's a time Matiang'i was looking for the top Turkana and the top Pokot guys. We brought them here to him. Why? That guy is married to 4, 5, 7 women. He has like 500 kids. He doesn't recognize his country. He is in his own world. So Kenya played part by training Jubaland for police officers and people with guns there. So policy-wise, that's almost a failed country. So this is a Kenyan-grown high school dropout. Some of them came back and became a problem in Elwak and Mandera and these places. Why? There was no a proper coordination in terms of salary. You take a Kenyan to Somalia and you pay him $100 or $200. What is he going to do with that? So they started running away with their guns and coming back home. They became a problem locally because they have skills. They know how to kill, they know how to shoot, they know how to train other people. So they started earning money using their skills. So the Kenyan government, whether it denies or not, the media is going there very soon, so we'll see them. Very investigative guys have already contacted us. They will go and investigate them. If we want, I train people on project management. You look at the visibility and the sustainability of anything you're doing. It's not sustainable to keep KDF in Somalia, both in human, losing people, and in terms of resources, in terms of infrastructure. I know they are supported by the US. A certain amount, KDF is funded a certain amount, percentage, the Ministry of Defense, there are certain percentage, the US funds. What happens if they cut off? What happens if we go into an emergency? What happens? A lot of things. What if? You see, we have a lot to deal with in this country. Okay? Our president is busy. I said yesterday when talking to a Kenyan, we had many Kenyans from Vienna, from Brussels, from London. We all came gathered there and we were like 40, 50 of us in that plane. Kenyans are educated and well-traveled. The discipline of governance is an investment by the state. I told you where Norway came from. But today, it is literally ripping off every building in Oslo and making it new. Roads are being ripped off. Why? The people who started this country in 1905 laid a foundation. You see, the Kenyattas and the Mois of this world, the kind of governance they laid for us as that of Biwott, total man, abducting people, killing people, stealing land in Yaya, building it. When he died, it was sold. They never built a country for everyone. A country for everyone is a country that is not monarch, doesn't have a king. Everyone is the same. The Prime Minister of Norway, a country that has the best life standard in the world, is cycling. It is safe for a 10-year-old girl in Oslo to go to school and come back. It is safe for a drunkard woman to just help herself anywhere. She can just urinate in the streets and go home drunk. No one is going to bother her. Why? Violence, to some extent, has the background of poverty. Whether it is in the trauma of Ruto, because he was a chicken seller, he's not. You're not going to satisfy things if you're not contented with what you have. You will always look for more. That's why you need to control this soul. And you eat once, you keep fit, you live within your means. Otherwise, if you just open your wallet and then you become greedy, utakufa tu bure. So what we are saying is that it is not sustainable to meddle in Somali affairs.
Okay.
We have two factors. The majority of the clans, the Somali clan, the Ogadens in Garissa, majority to go there, and the Garis in Mandara, majority, but they all live with each other. They also live in Somalia. They also live in Ethiopia. I have my cousins living. He talked about hereditary, the genetical, 5, 6 generations, 7 generations. We have them next to Jigjiga. You see, they are bringing their kids to Mandara, and they are going to school. We have people from Somalia who are in this government. We have people from Somalia who are medical doctors. Why? You can become a Kenyan citizen either by marriage, naturalization, refugee. You buy it in. If you have money, you can. And then, I wonder with Ruto and his co and the Murkomen. It is easy to get a Kenyan. Any Luo from South Sudan can get ID anywhere. He will just go to Bondo area, bribe a chief. He looks like him. He speaks like him. Utajua aje? Anaandikiwa tu Onyango Ochenga bado anapatiwa kipande. Utafanya nini? There's nothing. You need to invest, as he said, in the trust, the human trust of Kenyans. That yesterday we were in the airport waiting for a bus for more than 15 minutes.
In Kenya?
In the airport.
You arrived.
Tulishuka kwa ndege, tunapigwa na baridi, wa vijana wawili wadogo, wapi pass? That is our government. That is our people. That is our country. We don't have a seamless. I went to Oslo, I bought a card with the 9,000 Kenya equivalent. I was using it 100 times a day, bus, train, tram, boat. Hapa, unless we improve our standards, matatu ile tuko nayo isli bro, unafikiria nduko 1960 ukiingia kanzu inararuka unadungwa na chuma. We have not valued ourselves by creating, tramps, very good buses. Like if you go to area of Kariobangi, sewage everywhere, sewer. And Kasakaja is making a lot of noise. So we have not been trained to have better life for each other.
Abdullahi obviously having traveled all over this world, and I get his frustration. The fact that, you can go to a place like Norway and then you're looking at what is happening back at home and you're like, Akishwali. If we're being honest, what is happening in Kenya is not really unique. Sorry, it's not really unique. We have also other places all over the world where they're having issues with their neighbors. But here in Kenya, it looks like it's either something is not, like for example, we had Jubaland forces getting into Kenya. So are we saying, are they refugees? Are they being accommodated by the Kenyan government? As a security expert, what's the relationship between what is happening with Jubaland forces and Mandera? Like, what is it?
Well, thanks for that question. The strict part of it, if you had to put that question to close scrutiny, from where I sit, it's not even about whether it's a yes or no answer. It's the perception gap that is created.
Right.
By the absence of strategic communication, and of course when we are missing out on the information integrity. And right about now, in very highly socialized world as we are in today, rumors and mistruths or half-truths will fly around the globe a lot faster. Even when the corrections come later, then it doesn't make as much sense. The scenarios we are talking about here in terms of the presence, whether that was even transient, like they just got in for a little while, and when we are talking against the backdrop of the vertical tensions that are, and of course the clan dynamics, top it up with the insurgency pressure, that then possibly occasion these sporadic or episodal confrontations, checkpoints, perspectives come into the equation, shifting checkpoints, whether they could be legal transactions, say taxations and stuff like that. And, the allegations of pursuits, hot pursuits that then possibly led to the spillover into the territorial borders of this country. Deeper questions are on sovereignty and so, of course, the territorial integrity. And whether this is based on just the perceptions that you talk about and the perception gaps that then arise, then they raise deeper concerns as to whether we are able to police the borders that we are boasting of. Grave concerns in terms of security pathways are that misidentification could really, lead to awkward situations. And if we normalize, cross-border, presence of foreign actors or foreign forces without the frameworks, the public frameworks that are known for admission of such elements, then that normalization sets us up for a very bad precedent. One of them is the misidentification I've spoken to that may lead to confrontations. If our forces, legit forces from the part of the land, so NPS, I'm talking National Police Service or even KDF elements, that then get to meet these individuals, if we deny their presence or otherwise, then it definitely can lead to awkward confrontations. Remember, and he's talked about it, that Jubaland or the Jubaland forces, especially from the standpoint of the Al-Shabaab, their perception is that the Jubaland forces are actually a proxy army for Kenya. So if you imagine then these confrontations
that is their
occur,
position.
Yes, that these confrontations then occur between the Kenyan forces because of misidentification. So I'm talking about the security pathways here and the risks, attendant risks that can generate. You remember, if that then gets whipped up, the information warfare by the Al-Shabaab, because they are using that kind of warfare as well, and very optimistically so, to create and of course to add more oxygen to the propaganda agenda, and to whip up, play into the general fear narrative on the part of the public. That is one. And two, when you're talking about still on the security pathways and the attendant risks, is the fact that the presence, or whether transient or not, and in manners that are not acceptable by the frameworks, then we are staring in the face of diplomatic kind of fiasco, so to speak. Even if the government is solidly involved and behind the scenes things are happening, the general perception of the part of the public is that we are left to our own mechanics. The officials or the leadership in these kind of spaces have spoken to it, but the more problems that we have in terms of just people, the indecisive fear or decisive fear on the part of the general public that may not be going about their normal duties, say economic or social, of whatever nature, then it means that there's degradation of life. So issues about territorial or sovereignty, issues on territorial integrity that go well beyond people just setting foot across the borders into your land, then we are staring in the face of maybe humanitarian drama that may bedevil these areas of these kind of frontier counties that already are suffering from lack of whatever nature. So people already walking long distances, and if then you are to add more distances because you have to avoid this and the other area because there's these people that are unidentified and existing, then you're adding on to pain, to more already grave suffering on the part of the citizenry in this part of the land. So what I would want to say, as a way to possibly address these perceptive gaps in terms of just information, the fear on the part of the public, and or the general concerns about whether the government still, so talking about the national will, that we got to address issues of, let's say, just bringing out that information and rapid passage of credible, verifiable information, and know the fourth estate is doing a good job in this part of the country. We are not lacking in this kind of information and this kind of discussions. They're very rich. So that should actually inform part and parcel of what the citizen on that part of the land, set up hotlines 24/7. So you make a sighting, and then you have a multi-agency patrol teams to possibly go about joint verification with the leadership that are there. That will go a long way in terms of bringing together the citizenry, and of course just get them to feel part and parcel of this country.
So Jubaland forces, they are currently refugees in Kenya.
Well, I said there are two.
Because if they are fleeing, they are running away, and they have sought asylum in our country, they are refugees.
They don't qualify. They have guns. Refugees are civilian. Yeah.
750 kilometers.
Yes.
That's the border. Of this 750 kilometers, what percentage is the border between Kenya and Jubaland?
Well, Jubaland, if you look at the map as it is, Jubaland is well over, the percentage-wise, I may not speak to it, it's well over, it's around the entire part.
Almost 60%.
Right,
almost 60%.
so if one were to introduce the idea of Jubaland providing a buffer.
No, let me hold you there. Of the 60%, the government of Jubaland is in charge of less than 20%. They are surrounded by Al-Shabaab. They are 20 kilometers from Kismayu. They can't. Even them, Jubaland. Jubaland is big. Lower Shabelle, Middle Shabelle, all these places. Majority of these areas outside Kismayu is controlled by Al-Shabaab. And some part by the federal government.
I see.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Ahmed Madobe is in charge of all Jubaland.
Yes.
In theory, yes. But practically, there are communities that do not want him. That's one. 2, there are areas controlled by Al-Shabaab. 3, there are areas controlled by the national government. 4, he cannot come out. If he does, he has more enemy hunting him than him being safe in Kismayo.
Okay.
So essentially what we are saying is this, or what we are saying, in my mind, is a question. So of what use is Jubaland to Kenya?
Yes.
Of what use is Jubaland controlled by Madobe to Kenya?
Well, the history of the insurgency that's happening in Somalia is such that you have Al-Shabaab straight in the middle of it. And it's a common enemy, as I said. Part of capacity building.
But Byron,
yes.
Allow me to pause. I'm being rude, but forgive me.
Go ahead.
Why do we have a problem with Al-Shabaab?
Well, terrorism is a transnational threat. Yes.
When America went and fought that war in Iraq, you could as well have called them terrorists.
Yes.
They went to somebody else's
And by the way, Al-Shabaab have not been categorized as terrorists by the United States. If you look at the Homeland website,
yes.
Al-Shabaab is not a terrorism organization.
What is our problem with Al-Shabaab?
Well, we have had spectaculars within the Republic of Kenya, right? That are of the nature that you can define as terrorism. And by Kenya going into Somalia and the invasion that did take place inside Somalia was to hunt down, take the war to them, as he said. And part of fighting that war inside Somalia, and we are talking about the Jubaland forces, Madobe has a long-standing history. Capacity building in terms of getting Somalia to stand on its own 2 feet has been the professionalization, and part of that is training.
And Kenya has played a big part.
Kenya has played a very big part. Kenya has been involved in a lot of capacity building in that part of the land. I mean, the sufferings that is spoken to are all going into the definition of the risk that you take in terms of actually taking your neck out to go do a job that is of grand benefit or mutual benefit. Within the troop contributing countries that have been bedeviled by the same kind of threat, and majorly Kenya that has borne the brunt.
Byron, what is this threat?
No, let me chip in.
I mean, the threat is terrorism, the threat to territorial integrity.
There is a silent principle.
Yes.
Of a more deceptive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kenya and Somalia were neighbors. Somalia got more independent before independence. They got in 60, we got in 63.
Yes.
Somalia's military was way sophisticated for Kenya then. Let me
Somalia's business community was more sophisticated than Kenya, and even then. Their educational institutions were more sophisticated than ours, even then. Yes.
Now, when Somalia went down, that was in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we had clan issues all the time. Now, the principle of fighting everywhere, we might color it with chocolate of religion, ethnicity, it's power and economical resource controlling. Every war in the world, whether it's United States, whether it's Kenya going to Somalia,
I want you to repeat this.
Yeah.
Power and economic gains that my brother here can hear you, because I keep telling him, it's about money.
It's about money.
Yes.
That's why Kenyatta appointed 6 cabinet ministers from Kiambu in 1967.
Okay.
It was access to resources. These other, we should not address the desserts or the menu. We should address the food.
Let's talk about
the main meal.
The main meal of politics is power and resources.
Okay.
You cannot get resources without getting power. When Kibaki came, he might have done few things good, yes. But it was a stupid idea to have thicker highway on that road than to build Mombasa to Nairobi. From an economical analysis perspective, policy-wise, these would have given us more money than this one. But because majority of access to central Kenya was this, he had to put it through Thika Road, which is still a stupid idea, but a very better idea. A stupid idea is better, like now the expressway. There might be allegation of Uhuru stealing and having, it is a thief who is smart. At least we are using it. At least it's easing some things. What Ruto is doing is absolutely not beneficial to anyone. So you would rather have a Kikuyu thief as a president than a intellectual intellectual. From where we sit.
Again, your
now,
profile.
Power, I am. You were profiling us for the last 6 years. I want you to
so you're revenging?
No, I am. Now that you gave me the platform, lightly speaking.
Okay.
Now, our country, its governance is a business oriented. My friend here trained, risked, maybe broke his ribs. Those are the type of people you give interior. Why? I don't need to be educated about how the military will fight. I have to know so that I tell them what to do. Murkomen is a lawyer. You gave him interior. And then, so he turned Tupa. So you defense. What kind of a joke is that? You know, Nani told us, Stephen Leto, that alikuwa anapanda miti na Ruto. Now, you don't commercialize interior and defense. In Kaiseri was one time the Minister of Interior. Now, when you give, why do we have journalists working in studios? Why do we have doctors working in theaters? Why do we have brain surgeon not doing the uterus but doing the brain? This government is thinking that you're stupid. For you to work in security, you can learn. And I told you there is a difference between learning theoretical work. Practical sometimes are more educative.
Yeah.
That's why I know a lot about security, because I lived through it. You see, and I've read about it. The country's commercialization of both policy and governance is our problem.
Okay.
Long term, they don't look at it. Now, Ruto and Kenyatta, the problem they have is they are not looking at post-10 years. When you're planning for a country, you're doing 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years.
Yes.
If there was a plan to open up northern Kenya from 63 to 73 to 83 to 93, why don't we have a railway from here to Mandera?
Okay.
Why don't we have a railway from here to Kisumu? Why?
You know, the Kisumu one we have.
Yeah, but it's not that.
Maybe we should have one to Turkana.
Turkana, you see. Why don't we have a road through Kapedo? Why should they go through Kitale? So there are people who are controlling the country. And especially the middle class in this country. Now you have heard what's happening in CBD.
What's happening in CBD?
The thugs.
The thugs. Yeah. They're not thugs. The biggest thug work in State House, Judiciary, and Parliament. Those thugs are stealing peanuts, 100 shillings, 200 shillings. You read here political illiterate here the other day. That is the product of political illiteracy.
Yeah.
You need to plan for a nation. Kenya has been building a state. We have the best military. Yeah, but can we say we have the best human beings living better lives? People in Nyanza are dying of AIDS up to today. Why? They are not, women are becoming, using sex as a way of earning. You come to Nairobi, people in northern Kenya can be recruited by Al-Shabaab and then they go fight for them. Kenya did not create a stable human being. We are not equal in the eyes of the law. We are not equal in the eyes of opportunities. We are an equal society. Why do you want me to I'm not going to allow my kids to join KDF. For what? I am not. I will train them as lawyers, journalists, so that they raise their kids. Because there is no a country to fight for. The country you fight for is a country that gives equal opportunity to everybody. Look at Kisumu massacre.
Actually, I disagree with you, alas.
Yeah.
The country you fight for is the one which seems to be losing its soul, like the one you describe. We fight so that it can regain its soul and so that it can reach the potential that it clearly has. You fight for that.
I am now doing it here, but I'm not going to do it through the bullet because it's not worth it yet. You see, why do you think
it is always worth it, alas?
It is not.
It is always worth it. The reason why, if it wasn't, alas, if it wasn't worth it, you and I wouldn't be arguing. If you didn't love your country, you and I wouldn't even be arguing.
I know.
Right.
Disappointment sometimes can color our eyes and our vision. And there are very many things which are disappointing, but that is the more reason to fight.
I know. That
is the more reason to look for ways on solving this problem through educating people and getting them to understand what they need to do in their own little space to make their lives better.
Which we are. Currently, what we're trying to say is this, and that's what we are doing with Ruto. The kind of leaders we want is the kind of a leader everybody will stop for. I saw the president walking in New York.
Yep.
Can he do the same in Nairobi? He will be lynched in the first 5 minutes.
Actually, he can.
If he does, without bodyguards.
Actually, he can.
If he does, believe you me, if he does in the streets of Nairobi today,
alas,
and I meet him myself, I will not kill him.
Okay,
but I'm going to bite him.
Alas.
Before you say something treasonous.
No,
it's not treasonous.
Alas, the damage and the harm that we see requires serious conversation.
That's right.
One of the conversations that has been dominant when we talk of our politics is that we must choose right people. I like history because it gives you a perspective.
Yeah.
What qualities does Jomo Kenyatta have that would have made him a president? Where had he had the wherewithal to be considered a statesman? What is it that he had done?
Nothing.
Precisely. He did not become president. He did. The nation functioned despite that gap.
Yes.
And the reason is because, much as we hate the colonialists, or we like to say we do, the colonialists had a system
in place
which worked.
Yeah.
And the Kenyatta era, Africans were going into that system which worked. So there was forward movement.
Yeah.
I had to fast forward this to the new constitution. Beautiful document. Where are the structures within which it was supposed to work? The two institutions that were supposed to help build the structures and implement them were killed by Parliament.
Yeah.
The CIC was given 5 years. How do you give a document of that nature 5 years to complete the implementation process? How?
Yes.
It can't work. So this thing was stillborn. So here we have all these wonderful ideas, but the structure within to actually implement them is constantly being frustrated by, well, Parliament is the tool, but individuals who never had an interest in change to begin with.
Okay, I would like my wife because I've spoken.
Yeah, actually, Byron, I wanted to ask a different question because I just want to understand now, going forward, what are we bound to see as far as the presence of Jubaland forces in Kenya is concerned?
Well, they at the top level, you're thinking we have to actually behave better in terms of managing the protocol, so to speak. And by that, I also mean the conflictions that need to happen, whether there are elements of spillover due to those hot pursuit claims. Those need to actually be taken care of a lot more robustly. The perception gaps have got to be addressed, and when you're addressing the perception gaps, it's not just by principle that the law says this and that territorial integrity states that our lands end here and there and there. It's not a question of who is where, but mostly how then the citizenry, the perceptions and the part of the citizenry are managed so as to bring them back to that national cake, or rather to midwife the growth of the national will. The perspectives he talked about as well, again, is the backdrop of that. It's not just in the statements made, it's in the doing. And we are talking about, if you are to just take the learnings from Yoel Gantung's structural violence theory, in terms of then just looking at those societal makeups that then can bring the government to the people. These frontier nations have suffered for a long time around those kind of challenges. You talk Capedo, you talk Turkana, you talked about the schools, so the infrastructural development, so to speak, that are lacking in those kind of spaces make for weak quote unquote weak individuals that then don't stand for much. I mean, they are their own mechanics and whatever you imagine. Talked about a guy with 7 wives and family, so I don't need the government. And those are people that they are all the way they look at their perceptions, and of course their outlook is predominantly on that narrative. So how then to change those narratives and to win them over, so that we don't have fightings or banditry, as it said, becoming a serious menace and a security challenge of national security proportions on some parts of the land. The other bit would be to involve the local leaders in part of being part and parcel of this, because as long as you are not in oneness, so to speak, with the people that people look up to in the lower cadres, then you'll just be talking down on them. So I'm happy that what the Interior Minister CS has been doing, the Jukwas, and that really takes him down, the ground truth. So where's the space of that ground truth? Ground truth is something that you actually get from, as he said, from the bottom end of the pyramid. And that also plays into that narrative of making people feel part and parcel of it. So there can be a sense that beyond just the multi-agency patrols, and I'm happy that is now being shored up, it's happening, we can involve the locals in terms of that, community policing infrastructure, so they feel part and parcel of it. That you said, the individuals here, this is who they are, and then this is what they look like, and this is what, in terms of the frameworks of them being here or otherwise, means to you and means to us, so that you also, remove from the equation indecisive fear, if that's the case, and or suspicion. Because in the absence of that kind of information and sharing of those kind of understandings, then it can land as being, the government, it can land, most optimistically as being the government being dismissive, and or, not being very sensitive to the plight of the citizens down there. And as I said, as a principle, sovereignty is not just a legal principle. It is a social construct as well. People must feel that they're part and parcel of the government and Project Kenya. So
Alas, 20 seconds.
I'll say that I was rather comfortable sharing intelligence with the OC. I don't want to mention his name in Mandela when he was there. And he used to cascade it through the other agencies that I have this information. He never used to mention the source. Kenya is capable of being a Dubai. Kenya is capable of being Singapore. Kenya is capable with the right mindset. I want to tell CT, regardless of you have CIC in the next 40 years, if the people implementing do not have integrity, if you don't have shame. I came here and I said sorry because I was late for 15 minutes. If you don't have shame as a man, you are dishonorable. Kenya is led by men and women who are dishonorable. And unless we get someone who say, no, we have to fix this country. Why do you need to pay a member of parliament 1.5 million when a Norwegian member of parliament is earning 1.15? A country that can feed its people for the next 400 years. A country that cannot feed its people for 60 years now is paying members of parliament. What do they deserve? In fact, we will have said even it should be a part-time. You go there, pass legislations, you go to a law office, you go to journalism school.
Thank you very much, Abdullahi Alas and Byron Adera. It's been a very interesting conversation, and perhaps we shall continue this conversation at a different time, and not just about Jubaland, but basically about governance in this country. But for today, Monday, tunasema kwaheri. CT, thank you so much. Wacha tuseme kwaheri for now. Here's Winnie Maganga na taarifa.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
Turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Thousands of Kenyans are being denied access to social health authority services because of mismatches between their national identity cards and mobile phone registrations, a senior health ministry official has revealed. Medical Services Principal Secretary Oma Oluga said the problem is hitting young people and low-income earners hardest, as many of them use SIM cards registered under